James, and we return to the book Bad Science once again. I was pretty proud of the progress I made earlier today, so we're going to go ahead and keep cranking. If you look right here, this is the 2-pager that we finished. And, nothing to a creative person is ever fully done. You just look at it and you can look at all this stuff that you can still do. But because of the aspect of deadlines, we have to move on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this into 2 layers, actually. I was debating on merging it all to 1 layer. I'm actually going to turn it into 2 layers. Just in case, because it's 2 pages and I could definitely see myself messing this up. So why don't we go ahead and organize this? We're going to move this to the file, which would be story B over here. Let's make sure we got this on here. Yes, so we got this. We can, I think we can delete this. Regardless, I'm going to put this here. There we go. This is a tough one because this is actually 2 pages. So this is kind of has to sit here. And also, when you make something smaller, it reduces the quality of the image. And once you blow it up again, you lose all that detail, and that's a bummer. Oh no, my hat. Oh no, my hat. Okay, so let's move on to another drawing. We'll delete these. Staying organized is really important in this stage. You can easily get caught in the weeds. So for now, let's get rid of anything that can cause weeds. Anything that is redundant. This one doesn't need to be here. Okay, so basically what happens, spoiler, I guess it's not much of a spoiler, but Charda looks at Basa and they meet eyes for the first time ever. I'm not sure that the audience will pick up on the significance of that, or that there's really much of a significance at all. But for me, as the person who's observing the story, it's a pretty interesting moment. Last night, not the previous stream, but the stream before that, I was working on this drawing. And then this morning when I started, or excuse me, this afternoon, felt like this morning, my morning, everyone else's afternoon, I pulled this out, and in the process of checking this out, I knew that what I had to work on, and I put it away. So, because otherwise we're just going to sit here without finishing something, which can be very frustrating to watch, I can imagine. So here we are. Oh, look at this. Oh, actually, why don't I pull out, I'm not even looking at my channel. I haven't even looked at chat. I don't know if there's any chat here. I don't see anybody. Oh, Reels. No, YouTube. Did the hurricane hit yet? Or are they anticipating that? Okay. Gray Fox, James, what's up, y'all? Gray Fox family.
Hi.
Hey. Do you guys know if the hurricane hit yet? I'm curious.
Dude, I don't know if the hurricane hit, but my aunt is like right in the middle of where it is or has hit.
So it
and
has.
she refuses to leave. And she knew it was coming for a long time.
Yeah, it looks like it might be. Okay, so it's hitting right now. They have Hurricane Milton has wind speeds exceeding 100 miles an hour. That is terrifying.
That's such like a unimpressive name for
Milton.
something that's so devastating.
Yeah. Wish it was named TJ. That would have been
Yeah.
appropriate. Hurricane TJ. No.
What's Milton is from something? That's the movie Office Space.
Yeah, there's a Milt, I think is what they call him.
Yeah.
Mort.
That's not my name. That's not my name. I'm gonna burn down this whole building.
You know, one of my first jobs out of high school was doing disaster relief, and my first.
Really?
Yeah, and my very first. Oh, you never heard this story? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! All the stories that I repeat, and I haven't told this one. Hold on one second. Let's make sure I got everything. Let's pull up some music. Yeah, my first job out of high school, I was actually going to college, and I got an opportunity to take a job with FEMA. And during my fall semester, Hurricane Katrina hits, and it's all over the news, and it seemed like, you know, a situation where a lot of help was needed. And then I found out that there was an opportunity to be a disaster relief specialist, which is basically where you would go to disaster areas and where people would request relief from FEMA. You would have essentially what would be an insurance adjuster, but it's not an insurance adjuster, because when you have insurance, you've made a deal with an insurance company that will guarantee that they'll put you back to the way you were the moments before the storm started. That's the insurance's obligation. FEMA has absolutely no obligation whatsoever. So it's at their discretion, and they have a limited amount of funds to deal with. There's the map. Sorry. And so, yeah, I was going to school for film at the University of Toledo, and I got this opportunity, so I just dropped out, and subsequently ended up not dropping out the way I was supposed to. I dropped out the way they told me to, but it's just my experience with universities. The bureaucracy is just atrocious. And it was one of those things, you got a handhold for everything. But anyway, yeah, so basically what happened was I wanted to take the job. I was like 18 years old, and they called my grandpa up, and they were like, hey, we need you. But he was doing radiation because he had cancer in the throat, which he's good now. But at the time, you know, it was a really rough thing he was going through, right? He was doing chemo and radiation on his throat. So he was going through some pretty uncomfortable days. And but they kept calling him because he was on a list, and he was like, no, I can't, you know, I totally would, or whatever. And then at some point I go, what, can I go in your place? And he's on the phone with one of these dispatch people, or whatever you want to call them. Team leaders, I think, is really what they are. And he says, you know, can my grandson go in my place? And he says, put him on the phone. And I'll never forget it. It was one of the deepest voices I'd ever heard at that time in my life. And the guy's name was Joe Coffey. And he says, Tim, my name's Joe Coffey. I heard you want to work for the Federal Emergency Management Agency. I was like, yes, sir. He was like, all right. What we're going to do is we're going to put you through a training program in Houston, Texas. Or I think it was Houston or Irving. I don't remember, but somewhere in Texas. And he says, we're going to start tomorrow. And I go, sir, if I start driving right now, it'll literally take me 2 days if I take no breaks. And then he says, see you in 2 days. And he hangs up the phone. And at the time, I had been 18 for maybe 2 or 3 months. My birthday's in May. And my parents were very, 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 very strict. Like, they didn't, even to this day, I kind of look back at it and I go, man, you guys had us locked in the house for a lot of time. Like, it was kind of not great. But, you know, there's a lot of different reasons for it, but that's not what this story is about. This is really more about the dynamic of that reality. And so I go home to my parents and I run into the house and I grab, and this is 2005 when Hurricane Katrina happened. So GPSs weren't readily available at the time. I would physically print out MapQuest in order to take trips, which this was no different. I took from Toledo, Ohio. I printed off pages in color for MapQuest to get me all the way to, I believe it was Irving, Texas is where I was going. I got a Team America CD. I grabbed some like a bag of oranges. I grabbed a comforter and just like a book bag of clothes. And my mom goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Sorry, Mom, I just dropped out of college and I took a job with FEMA and I gotta go right now." And she's like, "Wait, what? Like what?" Like, you got to think like her
explain yourself.
Yeah, her constitution has always been, she wants to control the dynamic of her children. It's a pretty common behavior. And I'm the oldest of three. And I go, I gotta go, Mom, I can't. She's like, "We'll talk about it at dinner." So she didn't say no, but she was basically like trying to delay the answer, which is a pretty interesting it's a common tactic in negotiations, is delaying giving you the answer. And I just start packing and my mom starts to lose her mind. And then my dad literally just says, "He's an adult, Kelly." Just literally like, there's literally nothing we can do. There's no recourse against this. And my mom just starts bawling. So I get in my car and I start pulling off. I'm driving a Ford Probe is what it was. I don't remember what year it was, but it's like it might have been a 2-door and they might have had a back seat. I don't remember. But, so I start driving down the highway and I realized like I've barely been out past dark at this point in my life. And I'm driving, like the farthest I'd ever been from home was once a year. We would drive 45 minutes into Michigan for Christmas Eve. Like we were very much like non-traveling kind of homebody type folks. And
the Probe was made in 1997, I think only in 1997.
Oh, is that true? Oh wow.
Two-door car, yeah.
Yeah, it was
4-cylinder 2-door.
Yeah, 4-cylinder. Yeah, it was
you had the V6, but
oh, is it a V6? I didn't know that. I would have guessed it was a 4.
It's either a 4-cylinder or a V6. They have the two options.
If I had it, it was definitely a 4-cylinder. I don't pay extra for the extra
that's what I was assuming.
I would say at this point in my life, I would pay for 2 extra cylinders because I want to giddy up on Lakeshore Drive, and my current car is just abysmal. Like literally, oh man, I'm about to get sidetracked. But I will say just about having a 2-cylinder car, I get it because there's points where it's dangerous when you're around high performance cars because you have no ability they have all of the power to determine if they're going to overtake you or not. You are kind of at their mercy, and you also have to you're almost like a defensive driver, and you have to move to make sure that they're in the most comfortable position to make a decision, which is kind of a bummer of a position to be in when you're driving. You like to think of driving as like a freedom type thing. But anyway, so anyway, I'm driving towards Texas. I'm on the highway.
I misspoke. It's from 1994 to 1997.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I don't know which one I had. I don't remember at this point. But so I'm listening to Coldplay, The Speed of Sound, and I'm listening to this mixed CD with Team America and like South Park songs on it. And I listen to the same CDs back and forth. So actually, anytime I hear the album or the song, The Speed of Sound, it literally triggers that emotion that I had when I was driving on the highway and I had the windows down and I drove 2 days without sleep, basically, which is very dangerous to do. I think I probably slept in total maybe 20 or 30 minutes, like 10, 15-minute increments. I don't recommend it. It's very, very dangerous. There were definitely times that I like dozed off while I was on the highway, and it's just not okay. Like there's a point where, your body, you are a machine. You're a big old meat machine, and you need to respect that, And so, but anyway, yeah, so I go and I'm all excited. I got this job with FEMA. I'm going to go down with Hurricane Katrina. I'm going to help all these people. And I get into Texas, which has, just their highway system. Texas functions, and I believe Gray Fox is from Texas, so he can probably confirm or deny this. But around the country, the highway signs are all the same. They're all the same. It's universal, right? They're federal roads. When you get to Texas, they change the signs. They're the same signs. They read the same kind of things. But in Texas, they do their own thing. They actually have this approach to things. Sometimes when the federal government wants to do certain projects, Texas will try to take over it as much as they can. Texas likes to think of themselves as an independent republic, which is, I'm not going I'm not here to judge, but it is what it is, right? And so I remember getting on a highway. I got into Dallas, and they had something I'd never seen, which was a 6-way lane highway, six to eight or something really crazy. Everyone was going so fast, and I was on a highway, and I drove past a skyscraper, and to my right, so this is the fastest traffic that I'd ever been a part of, switching lanes faster than I'd ever been a part of. And to my right was a skyscraper, which I'd never seen a building so high in my life. Like it was just too many firsts. So I had to pull off the highway because I was about to have like an anxiety attack. It was just too much. It was stimulation overload. So I remember I parked my car. I got a comforter in the backseat of my car while I'm in Texas. It was like a Charlie Brown character, like or something. Like, well, I don't know why I thought I needed these things. And some guy walks by the car. I'm just standing in a parking lot, and it's this heat that I've never experienced before, which is much different than the kind of heat we get up here. And this guy comes up, and he's wearing a Deion Sanders jersey, and he's tucked it into jean shorts. And he says, "Hey, man, do you know where such and such is?" And my response is, "I'm sorry, sir. I just turned 18 a couple months ago. I just took a job with FEMA, and I'm from Toledo, Ohio, and I just drove down here, and actually was very overwhelming on the highway, so I just pulled off to try to catch myself." And he looks at me, and he goes, "Yeah, you wouldn't know, would you?" And then he just keeps walking. And so eventually I get to, I think it was the University of Texas. I don't know. It was a university. I feel like I would remember if it was the Longhorns, though. But we went to some university, and I was in this arena-style lecture hall, and I got to the class, and I got my information, and I sat in this class, and the class had like hundreds of people in it. And they said, "Hey, we are in a state of emergency in many different regions of the United States. This is actually a particularly high time for this. So because of that, we're taking a course that would normally take 10 weeks, and we're going to put it in this one weekend." All right. So this is to get certified as a disaster relief specialist. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, so if I don't, like, I think they said only 15 people were going to get certified out of these several hundred people, which to me felt like a very misleading dynamic because I, one, dropped out of school. Two, I didn't have any money. I had just enough money to get down there. So I didn't actually have enough money to get back. And I don't have, my parents, we didn't travel for a very important reason, which was that we lived within our means, which was not very much. So it's not like I could call my parents and they could come get me. Like I was essentially landlocked. And so they teach all this stuff in the first day. It's like 2 4-hour sessions of classes. And then we break for something for the day. And I couldn't afford a hotel room. So I was sleeping in the parking lot in my car. And I go up to the guy who's teaching the class, and I explain the dynamic of my situation, because what they were basically teaching about was just basically how houses are built and different types of foundations. Like down south, they don't have a lot of basements, things like that.
It's generally slab construction.
A lot of slabs, yeah, stuff like that. But so they were kind of explaining how exterior walls, interior walls, sheetrock, insulation, different types of insulation. If this type of material's damaged, it can't be replaced because they don't make it anymore. Therefore, if you're going to replace one section, you have to, it's just stuff like that, like an insurance adjuster would know. And so a lot of these people who were in the class, were like people who knew that kind of stuff. And so I go to the teacher and I basically tell him the dire restraints of my situation. And I say, "Hey, listen, I don't have enough money to go home. I'm 18. It was very important that I explained to people I was 18. It was like I was some sort of porn actress or something." And actually it worked really well, because when you tell them that you're a little baby, people are actually a little more kind to you. Maybe they make you think of the kids in their life or whatever, their nieces and nephews, or maybe the kids they have. Because when you're 18, you kind of do still get treated like a baby, which you really should, because you're still an idiot. But so I go to this guy and he pulls out this.
Loses 5 more subscribers.
What's that?
And TJ loses 5 more subscribers.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and I'm not even drawing. And so what happens is I go to him and he's like, "All right, you know what? I'll level with you." and he pulls out this really thick book, and he says, everything you need to know is in this book. And it was a big, thick book, probably like 800 pages, like something crazy. And I go, can you highlight some of this? Like I don't, like this is just a lot of material. And he goes, I shouldn't be giving this to you. So what I did was, and the interesting thing was, a lot of the people in the class were guys who, some of them were retired and they were looking for like a cushy job. I mean, this job does pay really well. It's actually still to this day ended up being one of the best paying jobs I ever had. But so a lot of these guys, these were just guys who like just knew, I don't know, they just knew about opportunities and things like that. I don't know. But they all were in these hotel rooms. And so they would go to the local watering hole, if you will. And wait, what the heck? Where's this coming from? Let me just merge these down. Sorry. Let me just make sure these are right, because I should be spending time drawing as well. So I get this book and I sit in my car and I sleep in my car and I just read this book. And it's mostly about, you know, what does a water heater do? Basically, the one thing I learned is that if there's water damage on anything, you don't keep it. So if you have a water line up to any area, wherever the water line is, you need to measure about 2.5 inches above and just tear everything out. And oftentimes it's tough. Though the best case scenario is that you tear out the sheetrock and insulation soon enough and then ventilate the area, and you might be able to keep your beams and, you know, your interior walls. But in many cases, you will just piecemeal, or you know what they actually do? They'll cut them out, and then you'll just kind of create framing that replaces it. So you don't replace all of it, but you create replacing frames. But water damage is, there's nothing. I mean, it's the great equalizer, essentially. That's why a lot of homeowners, this is the other thing I learned about insurance, is that a lot of insurance, you'll get homeowners insurance, and if they can legally get you insurance without covering for floods, they will. That's why oftentimes your area has to make it so that legally homeowners insurance has to cover flooding if you're like on a floodplain or something like that. And if you're on a floodplain, oftentimes they won't cover you. I mean, just the sheer cost of raw materials for a flooded home, damage to a flooded home, is astronomical. And yeah, it's probably why a lot of those.
Yeah, I had a flood in my basement in my shop, you know, not too long ago.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was able to manage it enough to not have the water damage. But if I didn't, it would have cost like $10,000 to fix.
Oh yeah, at least.
But because I pulled an all-nighter directing water into a drain, I was able to.
Well, and I think that's the reason why people don't leave their home during these hurricanes, because they want to be there to manage the damage of their home. But if they leave, and, you know, they leave for 6 weeks or whatever, and they come back, you know, it's just one of those things. They're like, listen, I can't afford it.
That's why I think my aunt's nuts. She's in the middle of it right now.
Yeah, you were saying that.
She rents an apartment.
That is nuts. Yeah, I don't understand
but
that.
Wanted to stay because it's her home. It's just bad logic.
Well, she might not like to chat. She may also not have anybody to stay with or something. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing is we all live, you know, like my parents who have hosted them in the past.
Yeah.
You know, they live out in the Midwest here, and they have like 2 extra guest rooms right now.
But did they offer it to her?
Yeah.
You sure?
I mean, they probably didn't say, "Hey, you should come stay in our guest room," but you know, it's always an open invitation. They come over here. They come over and stay in that guest room randomly twice a year with no specific dates.
I don't know why I question.
They drop in all the time anyway.
Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, I met a lot of people like that. But anyway, so I stayed inside of the back seat of the Ford Probe over the weekend, and I watched a lot of those guys who took the class got hammered at like a Mexican joint. There was a jacuzzi at the hotel that I was staying right outside of, and you know, I slept in my car and just read and could kind of tell, what was going to get asked after a while. And just, that's all I did. I just studied the material, and I think out of 15, I ended up getting like, I don't know, it wasn't 15th, but it was like 12th, 13th, or 14th, one of those two. I just remember I wasn't in last. So you'd think at that point, okay, cool, I did the hard part. No, that was nowhere near the hardest part. All right, so you get in, and they immediately do what's called activating you. And this is when I started to realize how much money the federal government actually had, because they just throw money around at things. And they gave me a tough book, a Panasonic tough book, and they gave me a GPS system, which was a USB that you had to plug into your laptop, and you had to put it on the top of your car. So that's what GPS was at the time. And luckily for me, this was very new technology. A lot of the seasoned disaster relief people they actually didn't use it because they already had their own routine. And when we were getting activated, or whatever you call, where they debrief you, what's interesting? When they debriefed us, the first thing they did was put on the overhead the penalties for treason. And they were basically saying that if you go and talk to the media and tell them what we're doing from day to day, you could get in trouble for treason. And treason actually is a very unique charge, which at the time was kind of similar to, because it's a similar thing to national security. So you actually, if they deem you to be a national security risk, or your case to be a national security risk, you actually lose your constitutional rights. It's the only
they can hang you in public?
I guess, yeah, technically. If they wanted to.
Whoa.
Wouldn't be a good move, because you would need an act of Congress could overturn that. So if it became unpopular, I think the national security thing is something that they just don't bring up publicly, because before 9/11 they were always kind of limited, but the Patriot Act really opened up the opportunity for the presidency to do anything as long as it felt like it was in this for the sake of national security. They didn't have to tell Congress about it. It's kind of like the stuff that the CIA does. Anyway, I'm just a low-level FEMA disaster relief person. But the point of the behavior, in my opinion, was to kind of explain how serious this was. And so they activated me, and then they were like, all right, well, we're gonna send you to your laptop. And here's the crazy thing. At the time in 2005, the reason why Hurricane Katrina was so poorly managed? It was because of one very specific technology that's very predominant today. But in 2005, Wi-Fi technology was not a big technology. And if you're younger than that, it may be hard to imagine that. I can barely imagine it, because this world that we live in is so convenient. And, once you get a technology, you can't imagine your life without it. I mean, hell, I just carry my phone with me everywhere. I mean, you might as well just put my phone in my forearm. I mean, it's basically going to be there anyway. So the problem was, a lot of the infrastructure in New Orleans was destroyed from the hurricane. And in order for me to get they called them inspections. In order for me to get my inspections and to upload I had to upload my inspections, and then they would send down new inspections. And in order to do that, I needed to have a landline. Well, most of New Orleans didn't even have power for a long time, like a while. And here's one word to the wise, I will say. Civilization can crumble without power. I mean, at this point, it might be able to crumble without internet. But when you don't have power, you start watching people walk around like a zombie movie. It's kind of crazy. But the thing really is, there's one very important key. When the power goes out, do not open up your refrigerator. And I repeat, and I'll say it 2 more times. Do not open up your refrigerator. Do not open up your refrigerator or your freezer. Your freezer will probably go, but your refrigerator, as long as it's sealed, should be good. And you need to keep it closed as long as you possibly can, because the moment you open your refrigerator, the countdown to when everything spoils begins. And I think that what happens is people get so used to the refrigerator refrigerating that they, even though the power goes out, they keep opening and closing it, like my cat does every time she checks her bowl. Still the same amount, kitty. So I get to these disaster areas, and I remember, I think they loaded me up. I had to go to I didn't even go straight to New Orleans. I went to Gulfport, Mississippi, where there was a military base. And so I drove from Irving, Texas to Gulfport, Mississippi. And it was another one of those things where I had to get there like literally within the next 24 hours. And I was like, damn, I thought things were going to get easier, you know? And they said, if you get to this place, they'll have a place for you to stay. At this point, Hurricane Katrina had already hit probably like 4 or 5 days ago, maybe longer than that, maybe like a week ago. And we still weren't deployed to help with the process. They were still not, I think certain areas in New Orleans were still flooded. I was just in Jackson, Mississippi, which still had declared a state of emergency. But so I'm driving to Gulfport, and I end up in the same situation where I'm so tired from all the driving, and I couldn't find the military base that I was supposed to go to sleep. So I park at a Lowe's parking lot, and I just go to sleep. And then I wake up in the morning to a police officer knocking on my door, and she basically opens my door, and they don't pull me out, but they kind of open the door and kind of allude that I should step out. So I step out, in my socks. It's early in the morning, and they're like, what are you? No, you know what? It was actually at night. That's what it was. So it was at night, and I was in a parking lot with no one in it. So the cops tap on my window, and I come out, and they ask for my ID, and I show them, and they go, what are you doing? And I do my same spiel. Hi, I'm Timothy Lichten. I'm 18. I just got this job with FEMA, and I just dropped out of college to come and help. I just came and I wanted to help. And the cop looked at my ID, and the look on these cops' faces were just like, oh, this guy's all right, right? And so technically you're not supposed to be parked there. And they said, well, I was like, do you want me to move my car? And they're like, no, you're fine. And I was like, do you want me to go find the military? But they're like, no, go back to sleep. You're fine. No one will bother you. We promise. So I slept in that parking lot, and I think around 9 a.m, I got it together and drove towards the military base. And I'll never forget, I went up to the military base, and the fucking guy who approached my car had like a gun on him. Soldier. But I say, yeah, I was told that there's a place for me to sleep and stay here. And the guy goes, what? And I was like, yeah, listen, I'm, you know what I mean? I don't know. I got this busted.
Hey, I'm 18. I was told I could sleep here, but yeah, we got a job for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, yeah, they were just like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And then I pulled out my FEMA badge, which had like a holographic like seal on it. And no, this is what happened. So the one guy approaches my car, and I was like, someone told me that I could stay here. The guy inside of the guard post says, I don't know why the fuck someone would say that to you. And then I pull out my badge, and then he goes, oh. And then he steps back, and he points, and he goes, just go down the road here, take a right, and then you'll see a barracks. There'll be a sign, and you just check yourself in, and you can take a shower, and dinner's in like a couple hours, something like that. And so I go to this barracks where there's a bunch of firefighters from across the country. There's FEMA people, the Red Cross is there, and all these volunteers are there, and the military's feeding us with these food trucks. And I was sleeping on a cot, and they had us like there for, it was probably like, it was a while, because they didn't want to send us out. And that time that we were there is the time that the Bush administration got a lot of guff for not responding soon enough. And the general vibe, I would say, obviously I don't know I think David Chernoff was the head of the FEMA at the time. But I do know FEMA decisions that's a White House. The president's involved in those decisions. That's a White House organization, whatever you want to call it. And from what I understand, people were like shooting at the National Guard and stuff like that. It was now at today's standard, that'd still be really fucking weird. But it was one of those things where they were worried they might have to declare martial law, which meant that when they declare martial law, I think that means that you can't count on the police to show up, and you have to defend yourself, which is a very scary time. And when they declare martial law, it's a way of looking out for the citizens, and then the citizens then lose the confidence in the police force. It's a weary kind of time. But anyway, yeah, we were there for about 10 days. I met a bunch of people. It was really cool. Played some cards and, just kind of started to learn about life a little bit. And then I ended up in New Orleans, and I think I was there for probably about 6 to 8 months. And then I went back to Toledo, and I had all Fs. Now, when you have all Fs, you can't go back to school without, you get on academic probation. And when you're on academic probation, you don't qualify for grants and scholarships. So you have to pay back everything, which was like, I don't know, like $8,000 or something like that. It was a lot of money for me. It's still a lot of money, right? And so my life had kind of ended up in a really difficult situation financially. And so there was a local sports broadcasting network that I definitely wanted to work at anyway. And had I gotten my degree, I would have gone there to go work anyway. So I took this aspect of the fact that I just worked with FEMA, in Hurricane Katrina. And my grandfather owned a videography company that I'd worked for since I was 14. So I was shooting plays and weddings and had shot some short films and stuff. Nothing too crazy, but at the time in the early 2000s, making your own videos was actually a very unique thing. Here I am on YouTube and yada, yada, yada. We're living in a different era now. But at the time, it was a novel thing. You had to learn it all. Generally, it was the Apple computer that kind of made it possible for everybody. So anyway, I started calling this place over and over and over again saying I wanted to be a camera operator. I wanted to work at this place. And eventually this lady, her name was Veronica Pinciotti. She was actually the only female executive producer in the country at the time, weird enough. And she was running the CW and this local sports network and some other station. So she'd sell ads and buy shows and managed everything from the macro perspective. But she was the one running the local sports network because they had just started the company like 2 years before this, 2 or 3 years. And the company was struggling. It looked like shit on air, but it was local sports. I thought this would be cool, And so I go and I keep calling. She finally leaves a message on my phone and says, hey, why don't you come in and we talk about your experience and see if we can get you to work here or something like that. And so I come in, and the funny thing is she keeps me waiting for probably close to 3 hours. And I'm literally just dripping sweat because I wanted the gig so bad. And she comes out and she was like, I don't want to be rude or anything, but I actually forgot we were supposed to meet. So anyway, I basically tell her my FEMA story. And I tell her, I'm going to be one of the greatest filmmakers who ever lived. And, I got this job from FEMA, whatever. And she goes, well, generally the way we hire people is that you get into the VCT program at Bowling Green, and then we pick an intern, generally 2 or 3. And out of those 3 interns, after the first semester, we'll pick one, and then we'll hire them to be a production assistant. And then that production assistant will work for 3 to 6 months to a year. And then after that, they pick whether or not they're going to be a camera operator, a replay person, or an audio person, or, whatever. You pick a position on the crew. So I'm 18 years old, and I say, well, just make me a camera operator. And she goes, okay, this is what we'll do. She goes, are you in school? And I lie. And I say, yeah. Then she asked me another question. She says, do you know what a Tri-X camera is? And I had never heard that word in my life. And I looked at her and I said, of course. And she goes, okay, well, why don't we just throw you into the fire? And she started scheduling me, and I started at 18 years old being a camera operator. And they didn't change the formula for how they did hiring. So for quite a few years, I was the youngest person at the company until I hit 22 or 23, with the traditional age for people to get out of school and find their jobs. And so it was a really interesting job for a while. And I didn't end up returning to school because I thought, what's the point? I'm already working. Yeah. So that's my FEMA story. I returned to New Orleans for Hurricane Wilma. I went to Miami for Hurricane Rita. I would go back, occasionally when it was really bad. I was like one of those people who were kind of overflow. So when honestly, if I were activated, they probably would call me now for these hurricanes. Maybe I should look at...
Could you activate?
Yeah, I could. I don't remember my badge number, but I don't know. Let me look into the company, the contract company, see if they're still around. PAR Inspections. Yeah, they're still around. PAR Inspections. Or maybe not. Why is this website's not working? Yeah, what's up with that? Let's see how they are on Indeed. Par inspections. Overall rating is fine. Productive and receive for support. Yeah, this is one of those jobs that if you can handle it, but they haven't had a review since 2003. Their revenue is $100 million. They make so much money. I was making probably around $2,300 a week working there. And so it was one of those things like get it while you can, because once they Dewberry, so they must have merged with another company. I should reach out to them. It's one of those things you got to do a background check with the FBI. It's not a light process, but you have to have the temperament to deal with it, which is that you go to these disaster areas where you're not going to get accommodated for. You may actually, all the hotel rooms may not be good to go. Actually, some of the more successful people in the field, what they'll do is they'll get a big old pickup. Exactly. They'll get an RV and they'll hook it up to a big, truck, and then they'll park it at like a campground and to the nearest campground. And then they'll rent a car a lot of the times to use it to zoom around the town. And that's the way they do it. So a big part of the business is minimizing your expenses so that you can take home as much money as possible. Yeah, that was some really exciting.
Dude, what I would do is I would get like a pickup truck and a teardrop camper. Have you seen those?
The like small campers?
Yeah, it's like a small camper. There's probably like the whole floor of the thing is a bed, and it probably has a shelf that you could use as a desk. And, I could put that on my Jeep probably.
Sometimes you have to have the TWIC card to work out there. Gray Fox, are you familiar with, well, he's in Texas, so he's probably familiar with, a lot of people are familiar with these kinds of gigs because these are need-based gigs oftentimes. So sometimes FEMA will recruit people and get them. My situation, even though I passed my course and everything, I think the emergency needing people to help is a common thing. And the reason why it's not as rampant is because once they're done, you go home. And a lot of people, they want the consistency with the work.
Yeah.
So what is a TWIC card? TWIC card. I feel like Gray Fox knows what I'm talking about. Transportation Security Administration. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, this is FEMA too. FEMA has a lot of money. They just spend money like crazy. The one thing that really blew my mind about the federal government was that so they would say, go to FEMA's home base in Jackson, Mississippi, and their home base would just be the entire Hilton Hotel. Or they would just, basically what they would do is they go to the front of the hotel and they would write a check to buy every room in all the banquet areas because they didn't want anyone else in there. So they'd write checks for like $3 million. It was just wild. And then we would go to the receiving area. Yeah, because I worked in refineries down there. Plus I had to activate for both Rita and Katrina when I lived down there. Oh, cool.
Cool. Wow, he really knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's really into it. I would be, if I was down there, I would do that kind of work too. Like the refinery work and stuff. That seems like I met people in some incredible homes. Like one of the richest people I ever met was this guy who worked as a chemical engineer for an oil company. And when I was talking to him, I go, oh, is it clean? Is it clean energy or whatever? He's like, no, it's about as dirty as it gets. He's like, but it pays so much money. He's like, I'm the richest person in my family by far, like 10 times over. And he had so much stuff, and his house was just immaculate. He had these giant ceilings. He was young. All of his cars were new. His family was healthy, and it was pretty incredible to see. And he was, he was a big black guy, and he was just like, man, I fucking want your life. And he just seemed so chill. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was cool, man. It is a little different down south. The way they do things is a little different in some ways. They're also, they kind of look out for each other money-wise a lot of the time. So when I would tell people I was from Ohio, they'd kind of have this weird look on their face, like, man, they should give this job to someone else. And I was like, Just kind of a weird thing, I would think, to some extent. But I guess that's how people always are. You know, they're always kind of nativist, if you will. But people were always like, when I told them I was from Ohio, it was like kind of like, oh, okay, cool. That's about it. Not like what I get when I tell people I'm from Chicago. When I tell people I'm from Chicago, they generally follow up with questions. They want to get a barometer of how I feel about living in Chicago because they only hear bad things about
They
Chicago.
also want to know if you actually live in Chicago.
Well, that's more of Chicagoans or people actually from Chicago. Yeah, because they know most
Dude,
people.
anybody from the Midwest is like, bro, are you actually from Chicago? I knew somebody who would say they were from Chicago, and they were from Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, my God. In a different state? Well, you know,
I'm like, dude, you're not from Chicago.
the nice thing I will say about being from Toledo was that when I first started coming to Chicago, which was probably back in shortly after my FEMA trip, I started going to, once I got my job working in sports television, I started getting gigs working on movies in the camera department. So it actually launched my career. And I didn't go to college. I didn't start college until I was 27 because it felt like I didn't really need it. But then after I worked in the industry, worked on films, worked on some of the biggest sporting events in the country, in the world. There were like times we do an event, say, hey, this is going to be the most watched event in the world today. And it wouldn't be the kind of stuff you would think. It'd be like a motocross event or something where they wanted to watch it all around the world. And I'd be on these really big shows, you know, and do some really incredible stuff. And after I was all said and done, there were still a lot of skills that I didn't have that I wish that I had had. And I was like, I should take some time and actually learn it. And one of those skills, James, is 3D modeling, which apparently you lose it if you don't use it. That's what I've learned. I just need to take like, I don't know. How long do you think it takes to get updated on 3D modeling? 4 days?
Depends on if you're doing like a nerve base, a solid body, or a mesh model.
I just want it so that I can use it for images. So not something that's practical, just like, I don't know, NURBS, probably. Right? NURBS are the ones that are curved, right?
That are like curvy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like splines. I think a nerve-based modeling system is like splines, so like Alias or in some cases Rhino, where something like Fusion 360 or SolidWorks is a solid body modeler, and then something like ZBrush or Blender is like a mesh modeler.
Okay. I learned on Maya. I took 3 semesters in Maya.
That's a mesh modeler.
Yeah.
It might be also, there might be some nerve integration to that. I'm not entirely sure.
I
Nerves
believe
are
it.
confusing to me.
Because Maya's probably, I feel like Maya is pretty much everything because they're a living, breathing, large company. And so they just acquire as much as they can and they keep adding to the program so they don't get beat out by Blender.
Yeah, which is a good move because Blender adds quickly.
Oh, wow. Gray Fox, what a great comment. This might be one of the best messages I've ever gotten. They're kind of clandestine like down there, especially in southern Louisiana. That's a really good word. You're absolutely right. So these jobs that I got are only the kinds of jobs you get word of mouth. They don't advertise. And these are jobs that don't require any level of education, and they pay stupidly. So, you know, if other people knew about them, they would take advantage of it. And it was just a who you know kind of thing. So if my grandpa hadn't gotten the job, and he probably got the tip from someone else as well, like, hey, if you got some time, you could make 30 grand, you know, over the course of like a month and a half, you know, but you got to drive your own car down. You know, there's some aspects of it. And my grandpa also used to own a woodworking company, so he knew how houses were built and stuff. So that wasn't a big deal to him. But he did give me a heads up. He goes, you know, there's going to be people in their hotel rooms looking at trees that have fallen down, and they're going to spend a bunch of time because FEMA's going to ask how many cubic inches of tree material has fallen on the yard because they want to determine how much it's going to cost to remove the tree or whatever. And he goes, you're going to meet people who are going to spend 45 minutes calculating and trying to get it right. He goes, the trick is you don't do that. Don't worry about that. It doesn't matter if you're off by, you know, 100 cubic inches or anything like that. That's not necessary. What you need to do is you need to get as many inspections done as possible. And with equipped with that information, I was very valuable to the team because I was able to get in and out of these inspections so quickly. And I was also, I'm kind of charming and nice and conversational, and I did want to help people. So I had this really, all they really cared about, they didn't even care if I messed up the inspections data. All they cared about, because what they would do is they'd show up behind you and they would do the inspection. And they would say, hey, I know that someone came here to do an inspection. We're just going to go do the same thing if that's okay with you. And what they're doing is they're QCing you. And really what they're doing is they don't really care about the data. Now, the data obviously needs to be close. You can't be like, the house is destroyed, you know what I mean? Like, which is actually just like one light item destroyed for a long time. You could just do that and then you just get paid for it, which is wild. But really what they do is they sit down with the people and they say, what was it like when the inspector came here? What was their demeanor like? And that's what they care about. And if you leave your applicant, which is what they called them, apps at the time, if you left your applicant feeling good about the federal government coming into their home, then you'll work more. If they were indifferent, then, you know what I mean, they might retrain you. If they didn't like you and didn't trust you, they would send you home immediately. So these people really were deciding it, because you got to think it's PR. It's the for a lot of people, it's the first time they ever come in contact with the federal government. I would know because they would tell me what they thought about George Bush. They would like talk to me about George Bush. I'd be like, why would you talk to me about the president? This is so weird. Like the president? Like what? But yeah. So that's my story.
It's a pretty good story.
Not a bad story. That was actually, it's funny. That was probably the biggest pivot moment in my entire life. Because what happened was, I love my parents. I love my family and everything. They're good people. But we do have a very small kind of mentality, right? It's not small. Small is almost derogatory. It's very simple, right? Keep it simple. Get a job. Get a good job that you get regularly. Work hard at that job so you can support your family. And then you come home on the weekend and you get hammered if you want, whatever you want to do, right? And that's it, right? You don't go too far. You only move a couple miles away, if that, from where mom's house is. And that's how generation after generation would do it, at least since the 1850s. So my descendants are German, and they came to Ohio in the 1850s, and they went and they moved a little bit west. But, my family, you could all kind of find them. And what happened was I never really got a lot when I was a kid. That's something James and I have in common. James's situation was far more extreme than mine. But I just never really got stuff, right? Like I'd have to save up a lot to get a pair of shoes. I remember I had to pay for my cleats for football. I paid for my own driving school classes so that I could drive a car that I paid for. My parents actually gave me $500 for graduating high school, and they gave it to me early so I could buy a car, which was pretty cool. I bought my first car for like $1,000, which is funny. Wasn't the Ford Probe. It was a Chevy Corsica that the paint had peeled off. And here's the, oh my God, I blew that car up. Actually, I blew the engine, but that's a story for another time. But anyway, the thing that happened was that I never really wanted a lot of things because my concept for money wasn't that big, right? Like my desire for material things was always one pair of shoes away, or maybe the car. And then from the car, it'd be the most recent repair. Maybe it's another pair of shoes. Maybe it's a shirt and an outfit I want to wear, a DVD, a game. That's my outlook on money, which was just my immediate desire. I think it's a very common mental state that people are in, right? Well, what happened was I was making so much money. I'll remember the moment. I'll never forget it. This is the moment my entire life changed. I was in Miami, Florida, and I was staying in an extended stay hotel. And I had more money than I could spend, literally, because my desire for things was very cheap. So what I would do is I would get bored and I would go to the mall. I got to start drawing. I would go to the mall and buy whatever I wanted. And at the time, they had Hollister, which we didn't have in Ohio. What we had was Abercrombie, which they didn't have down south. So I would wear Abercrombie. I was a preppy kid. I was like a bro nerd preppy kind of kid. Like I played sports, but I was also a creative, but I would wear a lot of preppy stuff. That was just what I was doing at the time. And so what I did was I went to Hollister, and in the 2000s, what you did was that before 2010 was that you would get a polo, and you would layer the polos up. It was so fucking douchey if you think about it now. But so I went to Hollister and I bought every color polo they had, right? And their polos were like $50 a piece. Then I bought all the sneakers that I wanted, which wasn't too many, you know. And I piled all this stuff up at my extended stay hotel, which I was there for probably a couple months. Then I bought an Xbox, right? And then the Xbox, I started buying DVDs. Then I bought a PowerBook G4, which was kind of what I have now with my MacBook Pro. They told me that you could edit video on it. You really couldn't at the time. That's a newer technology. That was when the solid state hard drive came out, you could edit HD footage on a laptop. That was when that breakthrough came. But anyway, I had this, $2,500 laptop. I had an Xbox, and I still had leftover money. Don't tell me you wore Abercrombie. No. Yeah. But anyway, I was a kid. But so anyway, I'm sitting in my hotel room and I'm feeling sad because I thought that if I got this stuff, that would make me happy, right? And I was sad because I was away from my friends and family. Like I'd never been away from everybody before. So that was part of it. And also my job was very demanding and hard. So I was trying to fill that void. I didn't drink or smoke weed or anything at the time. So I wasn't using substances and I wasn't interested in pursuing that. And so what I did was I bought a car. I bought a new Honda Civic. So then I bought a car. And then what happened was I was sitting in my hotel room and I started looking at jet skis. And then I was like, well, if I get jet skis, I'm going to have to get a tow. Like I'll have to get a trailer for it. And then I was like, well, if I do that, I'm going to have to get a pickup truck. And then I was like, well, should I just move down to Florida? And then the epiphany hit me. This isn't going to stop. Like my psychological theory that if I just buy the next thing, I'll be happy is never going to go away. And even though I'm making a lot of money, which is more money than anyone in my family, I'm not that happy. And I knew what my dream was. My dream was to make movies and be an artist. And that was the most important moment in my life. I remember where I was sitting. I was holding an auto trader. I was looking at jet skis and I go, this isn't it. When I get this jet ski, I'm going to be bored after, and then I'm going to have to keep it up to date and everything. Like this isn't going to do it for me. And so I went down to some of the people who did the IT and handled the laptops. And I said, hey, I'm going to go home for Christmas. Can you deactivate me? And the guy goes, are you sure? Like, if we deactivate you, you're done for the season. Like you're done. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go home. And I just drove home. And I never really replaced that income again until actually recently was the last time I even got close to it. And I don't regret the decision because I think that had I not had an opportunity to make that kind of money, I would have had to do that to learn that. And a lot of people don't learn that until they're in their 40s and 50s because that's how long it takes, to get up to that status. And I think at that point, they're not willing to learn that lesson because then they'd have to admit that their journey was done in vain. So I don't know if you've ever met somebody who's older, who has like a nice house and stuff like that, who's kind of a curmudgeon. And when they're grumpy, they'll reference, my house is paid for. Like, I think those people are the type of person I would have turned into because their worth is all bagged up in that. And, having said that, I definitely do think I definitely thought I would make more money being a creative that I have, but it is definitely more fulfilling. It is it's a better way to prioritize my life. And given the class that I was born into, I'm not sure how old I would have been or if I ever would have figured that out. I mean, the economy in Toledo is not that good. I mean, the per capita income for a Toledoan is probably around $27,000. Let me see. It's really low. Toledo, Ohio.
That is really low.
Per capita income. Yeah.
I love that a jet ski is what turned you around.
Yeah. These aren't accurate. It says 54,000. That's not right. That's way too high. I would say that about 60% of the population's probably making less than 20 grand a year. I mean, I've lived it. So I don't know where they're getting this data from, but it's not. Yeah, and then
Well, average takes the highest person. What you're looking for is the median, not the average. The median income is what the person in the middle makes, not the average, because everybody could make 20K and then somebody could make like $1 billion.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right, James. James,
so
stop.
You want the median income, not the average.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because it's the household income, which is 2 people, and it's 46,000. So yeah, it's about 22, and that's a full-time working person. So it's tough out there in old Toodly-Doo. It's a tough place. What do we got here?
Toodly-Doo.
A lot of people down here hate George Bush because they blamed him for not helping enough. Bro, I'm in a $6 t-shirt. Same, Haynes and Fruit of the Loom all the way. Well, you guys just aren't. See, I early on in my life fell into the consumerist treadmill, or if you will, like hamster wheel. I don't know. This might be the best stream or the worst stream, or a mix of the both.
Dude, my whole thing on the clothes topic was like, if I found discount clothes, I didn't have to wear stuff from the Goodwill.
Oh, okay.
So if I could find it cheaper, like new, I could wear it. So
Well,
it's like, you're trying to wear Walmart clothes, like trying to get stuff off clearance rack.
Yeah.
Pack of black t-shirts.
Well,
it's like, we could get all these smelly clothes from the Goodwill, or I could get this pack of 6 black t-shirts.
Right.
And then we'll only spending like $3 a t-shirt.
Well, back in the 2000s and even earlier, a lot of people they wanted to wear labels. So labels, it didn't even matter what you were wearing. If it was a designer label, then you're good. And I'm sure there's still places and cultures like that. But that's kind of where I was. But I would say that it only took me a couple years for me to realize that the real quality is knowing, no matter if I got it from Walmart or a thrift store or Dolce & Gabbana, I should have the taste to identify if it's a good shirt or if it's a good piece of clothing at all. As a creative person, I should have that capacity. And that's something I started to focus on more. But then what happened was the whole Silicon Valley kind of movement where people were wearing as simple a clothes as possible. And that became a trend for a long time, just wearing V-necks or just white t-shirts and khaki shorts. And we're past that. But I was doing that for a while when I was in college because I just couldn't afford much more. Now I would spend more time looking at it going, okay, what's going on with this? What can I wear this with? To me, it's just another art form. And as an artist, I expect myself to be able to pull it off. So, yeah. So, yeah, I told that story. I guess I could label this video as my FEMA story or something like that.
My FEMA story and a drawing of Charda.
And a drawing of Charda planning his attack on the mud pillows. Planning the attack.
My FEMA story and Charda's plan.
My struggle. That's what I'll call it. My struggle. That might get me in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no clue.
Oh. Hitler's book, Mein Kampf.
I'm not what you would call informed, huh?
Hitler's book was called Mein Kampf, which he wrote when he was in prison, and it's called My Struggle.
Oh, I did not know that was the translation.
Yeah, My Struggle. So he ended up making this book, and it ended up being a bestseller, and he was able to rise to power. You know what's really funny is...
I didn't know he was in prison.
Oh, yeah. Nelson Mandela was in prison for a long time, too. It's kind of crazy. If taking political prisoners is generally not a good idea because it emboldens them over time. No comment.
No comment.
No comment. Oh, did I tell you? I think I'm going to take a job as an election officer.
Yeah, you were talking about that. You said they're looking for election officers in your area.
Yeah,
And you were
apparently
like,
that seems like something interesting. Yeah. I'm going to try to get up early tomorrow and get certified for that and do whatever I got to do.
Cool.
It's just one day. I like doing stuff like that. Like I like doing stuff for, like working for the federal government was cool. I like helping civilization move along. Like that's my patriotic duty. Cause I never, I didn't join the military. It's just not for me, but I do feel a sense of like duty to a certain extent. I mean, I went to public schools and I pledged my allegiance to the flag, every morning. So I am brainwashed, but I feel it. The conformity part. Yeah. Well, that's ironic because I'm teaching people to not do that. That's kind of a big part of it. Any story.
I have been saying the smash your phone and follow the nearest civilian since you said that off the cuff. I cannot stop saying that.
It's so funny. I like the idea of getting followers to say, make sure to do whatever anyone tells you. And just to get, if I could get young people to say that ironically, I think they would definitely buy into it because, it's almost like, it's always cool if what you're talking about doesn't make sense to the mainstream,
Yeah. Make sure to smash your phone, and follow the nearest civilian.
Chicago restaurant owner tells would-be robber he's too busy, come back in an hour, so he did, and he was arrested. That's actually in the news today. So some guy went to go rob a restaurant, and the owner said, we don't have enough time. Come back.
Come back in an hour.
And he was like, oh, okay, sorry. That's crazy. What was OpenAI's value assessment from Sam Altman? It was something incredible. OpenAI value. What is it? Value. What would you even call that? Value proposition, maybe? It was something like $3 trillion.
Whoa.
No, it would be OpenAI evaluation. It was like, it was because basically they said that Sam Altman had a blank check that they were willing to write literally any amount of money. And then he said 3 trillion. And they're like, what the fuck? I almost feel like if you negotiate your salary, you should be doing things like that. I mean, don't say 3 trillion. I'm saying like, don't say a number that like you should say a number that they are so close to saying no to. I think that's how you negotiate. You kind of go just a little bit over.
That's what I do anytime I'm like applying for, asking, or somebody's asking me to do a job that I don't want to do. I put out the most absurd number. I put the number that it would take me mentally and emotionally to do, not what it would realistically cost to do the job.
Right.
And then if they pay it, I get that emotional, mental level that they would pay for me to do that job, or they say no, and then I don't have to do that job that I don't want to do.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Dewberry. I might actually have to look into this. $711 million in revenue for this disaster relief company.
Woo.
And this company has an owner. And I've met these owners before. They're just like regular ass people. It's so wild. $700 million. I bet these aren't even public. I bet these are all private companies too. I wonder if you could put inspector, construction project manager, senior inspector. Maybe the word disaster would be good. That's interesting. I almost feel like, I feel like the best place for government jobs is probably in Virginia.
Really?
Hey, Bob, too. Bob. I was actually.
Bob, too. Bob is sorry for being late.
Yeah. Dude.
I'm glad you were willing to tell us that.
Bob 2, Bob 1 is sorry.
Yeah, Bob. You know what's interesting is that there's I don't know what video it was. So as of recently, I've been kind of combing through YouTube because I want to improve my YouTube channel. And I've never really taken the time to do that. I've always been very passive with it. And so I can look at the old comments, and there's a comment from Bob that literally just says Bob. Just Bob. It's so absurd.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Stay consistent,
Dude,
Bob.
I'm vibing with Bob 2 here.
Yeah. I'm about it. I'm all about it.
Oh, Bob it.
Wonder if... How do we do this? Maybe
I had a friend named Bob growing up, and every morning he would try to tackle me.
What?
And so I used to stand in the light so I could see his shadow coming.
Okay.
And one day I ducked him. So he went to tackle me, and I ducked, and he flew over me. And that was the last day he tried to tackle me.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, but it was like literally like, you know, like for like a year, this guy would try and tackle me every. And I'd just try and dodge him or avoid him. But one day I waited to just like see his shadow because I was like, I bet this guy's gonna go for it, and I'll be able to duck him.
That's a bizarre thing to do. You're not a small guy.
No, and what was crazy is he was a small guy.
That is crazy.
I think something about like him, like if he could tackle me, the biggest guy in the area, that maybe it was like some sort of like cred, which was crazy because we were friends after that. And I guess we actually started being friends after I ducked his tackle. But
There was a kid that I fought in junior high. I fought in school. And he was kind of a bully. And I kicked his ass, really. And after that, he and I were friends for years and years and years. And it was mostly he was the one who really progressed the relationship. He was just so impressed by me because I was such a timid kid. I think his thought was like, oh, I can beat this guy up. I think he just, I don't know, man, my propensity for violence, not that I'm a violent person or that I would even go too far, right? Let's even say if I was in a fight, you know, like the biggest risk about getting into a fight in public is that someone could die because in a fight, someone may extend it to such level of violence that causes you to die, right? And then there's the element of you falling and bumping your head and dying, which is maybe the most tragic type, right? Because you just might be, you know, fighting with fists or whatever. But I'm not the type of person that would take it to the level of where I'd want to hurt you. I really don't want to hurt you. I just want to win the fight. So I'm kind of like an old school guy like that. But I think that people do get surprised, you know, what I'm willing to do once we cross that line. And the reason why most people can't and won't fight is because people, you know, it's a Mike Tyson quote. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the fucking mouth. I mean, that's what he said.
yeah.
And it's true. Like you think you want to fight and then all of a sudden you get punched in the face and you go, well, this isn't how it goes in my dream where I just like, you know, hit you without ever getting hit, you know, whatever. And, the one thing I learned as a kid from fighting was actually getting punched really, really hard isn't as bad as worrying about getting punched, if that makes sense. Like,
No, I get it.
you get what I'm saying? Like,
I've taken a few hits.
yeah, I believe you. If you can just realize that, I remember one time I was fighting with my cousin and like, he was like, what? He's like, I'm going to punch you in the ribs as hard as I can. I'm like, no, dude. He's like, no, dude, it really doesn't hurt that bad. And I'm like, what? And he punched me in the ribs and it sucked, but I understood what he meant. And it was like that I probably learned that at about 11, that it's not that bad. It actually might be. Here's an interesting story. I once heard a story of, ironically, from the Joe Rogan podcast, because Joe Rogan's all about fighters, right? And the reason why I started listening to the Joe Rogan podcast when I moved to Chicago, I still had to live part-time in Toledo because I didn't have a job in Chicago. So I still worked in sports TV, but I wanted to start going to school. So I would go to school at Chicago City Colleges. I went to City College. Chicago City Colleges from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I took 12 credit hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I rented an apartment, got roommates in Chicago. And then Thursday, I would take a bus, 4.5-hour bus from Chicago to Toledo. And I always had to take the bus at 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. So it was a 4-hour thing that would happen like overnight. Wild that I even did that. But that 4-hour ride, and then I would come into Toledo on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'd shoot sporting events because most sporting events happen Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I would shoot football, or whatever, college football on Saturday. And then Sunday morning, we'd do an early morning bowling show. And then after the bowling show, I'd get on an afternoon bus. And then, I'd probably get the 1 a.m. And then I'd end up in Chicago at about 3 in the morning, and I would have class at 9 a.m. And it would drop me off at Union Station. So I'd have to get on the L, take that all the way to my apartment, take a 2-hour sleep or something, get up, and then go to school for full time, And in order to make up that time, I would listen to Joe Rogan's podcast because his podcasts were 3.5 hours. And that's the thing I realized that's the reason why I chose long form on social, was because I realized that if you can fill up lots of hours of people's day, it takes a lot longer to build up a base, but it's harder to compete. And I used to bring this up a lot because I was a communications, media, and theater major for my bachelor's degree. So I'd be this undergrad student with all this experience, and in many cases, more experience than my, sorry, Bob, let me get some drawing done. More experience than the professors in many cases. Actually, I learned telling the professor at the beginning of the class that you had all that experience didn't help you or your grade at all. So generally, I learned to not tell them. Because they definitely do treat you differently and you're not getting an A. But if you don't tell them, I'll get an A. But anyway, what I would tell people is I would say, look at the king of media before, by the time I became an adult, he had been really old, but, and he's still around. But Howard Stern, the question is, how did Howard Stern do it? Now, don't get me wrong. He came up with a new formula, which was the shock jock, right? So he'd put a microphone up to a girl's butt and she'd fart over the air or whatever. Just weird shit that no one had ever done before. But the reason why Howard Stern was so popular was because he'd go live at 4 in the morning, and he would go, I believe the Howard Stern show is a 4-hour show. So he would go for 4 hours every day. And I think he still does it. And he's got 36 million listeners or something like that. And Joe Rogan's got more than that now because podcasting it happens live, but they don't, they just upload it and people can download it. So it's even bigger. But anyway, I try to tell people in my major, I'm like, there is pathways to guaranteed success, and it's to outwork everyone. And if you want to make content for a living, you should outmake everyone. And when I would tell them, their eyes would kind of glaze over because they're like, what are you saying? It's funny. Warren Buffett gave a lecture at the University of Nebraska in Omaha, which is where he actually teaches a class. Could you imagine Warren Buffett being your professor? But he likes to teach a finance class. It's like a freshman level finance class. You can actually get taught by Warren Buffett under certain semesters. Some semesters he does it. I think it's his way of giving back. But he gave a lecture and he said, people come up to me all the time and they say, how do I become a billionaire? And he's like, I'm going to tell you guys right now, there is one surefire way to become a billionaire and you won't do it. And I tell people all the time and they don't do it. But I guarantee it, you will become a billionaire if that's your goal. And that one thing you need to do is, and then he would stop and everyone would pick up their pencils, And he says, read 500 pages a day. 500 pages a day. If you read 500 pages a day and your goal is to become a billionaire, you will eventually become a billionaire. But you got to really think about that. I would say in my peak of reading, when I was a senior in college, senior year, my last 2 semesters, I had to read a lot of classical plays and I had to write plays and stuff. At the peak of my reading, I was reading probably around 200 pages a day, which is probably about what you have to read to get through law school. Actually, let's look that up. How
Which
many?
is wild because I can't read.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe you wouldn't hit the 500 pages. How many?
Maybe I don't think I have the chops to be a billionaire then.
Well, that's one way to become a billionaire. Well, you'd also have to want to be a billionaire. I don't think people become billionaires by accident. How?
Nah, I have no interest in being a billionaire. A millionaire, yes, but
Yeah.
a billionaire, no.
I'd like to accumulate as much as possible on a fun level. Now that I've acquired all the skills that I want, and I wouldn't say all of them, obviously I'll always keep, hey, the kitten wants to sit behind me. She's so sweet. Go ahead, little girl. Whatever you want to do. This is your world. How many pages a day does a law student read? Oh, that's not that many. 75 to 100. 2,000 per semester. That's a lot less than I thought. I had this contemporary theater class where every week we'd have to read like an entire play, and it was pretty crazy. And I was in a playwriting class. I was reading a ton. It was actually one of the sharpest I was. I will say, if you read all the time, you definitely will step up your mental game. What are you doing, Kiki? What are you doing? Where are we at here? Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock. Where are we at here, guys? An hour and 20 minutes, and I've barely done much. How do you guys feel about that? Okay. Let's merge these down. Drop the opacity. I probably don't read enough nowadays. I need to spend some time just reading every once in a while.
How's the Spanish coming?
Not too bad on Saturdays. So on Saturdays, I watch college football. On Saturdays, I look at this cheat sheet. Oh, I got 4 people watching me stream. Cool. Wow. Somehow that's, I think that's the most I've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yes. What was I saying? I think that's a big part of it too. Like, if people can listen to these streams later, like Gray Fox told me that he'll like just walk around and do errands while listening to me stream. And that makes me wonder sometimes, because some of the streams, yeah, it is cool, because it's like, that's a real value. You know what I mean? That's maybe one of the most flattering things someone can tell me. And, I got to stay very sharp in order to pull that off. But it's worth it, I think.
And maybe that's where your 500 pages come in. You gotta have things you can talk about on this stream to make it interesting.
Yeah, that's true. I actually had that thought not too long ago, which is like, have I gotten dull? Like, I almost feel like college, weird enough, I feel like college kind of dulled me. I feel like I got more boring as I started going to college, mostly because I was working as a bartender. And so I would just go home and sleep and then wake up. And I was just constantly in a subordinate position. And so like my personality had stagnated. And I'd always felt like I had a very like pretty dynamic personality. It took me a long time to build it up again. And I would say I'm still working on it. I still kind of like don't bump into things enough. But it's funny too, because then also sometimes my personality turns people off. So, you can't make everyone happy. And if you are making everyone happy, you're probably a very boring person, honestly. Or a beautiful woman. Which I am not. I don't know if you want to put that thumb all the way back there like that. It's not too bad. This Dracula cape I got here is a nod to Todd McFarlane. The way that Charda fights, I'm actually borrowing from Todd McFarlane's style with the cape and stuff. I wonder if I'm ever going to meet him. I have a feeling I'm actually going to meet him one day. I do have that feeling. The pace at which I work and stuff, I just have a feeling like if I keep cranking these out, that some point it'll make sense that I would just get to meet him. George once told me that he had a chance to meet him and he was considering applying to work at his place. And he said he saw him at a toy show And he said he was just surrounded by people, you know, because he's such a big celebrity in those circles. And he said, you know, I was like, why didn't you work for him? He said, because he puts his name on everything. And so it just felt weird, you know, like, because, you know, George is a world-class sculptor, no doubt. Incredible talent.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so he definitely, they'd have a place for him. But I think his thought was just like, yeah, well, you know, and then Todd's just going to slap a sticker with his name on it. And I even heard Todd's.
Yeah, no, he wanted his credit.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny.
He was phenomenal. His sculptures were insane.
I know. It's funny because they're actually staff that if you talk to them, they don't like highlighting that. I'm not going to say their names, but I'll be like, he's a world-class sculptor. And they'd be like, George, the guy who can't tell a good story, George. I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't say he was a great storyteller. I just said he's an incredible sculptor. He really is world class.
Oh, it was phenomenal. To see what he could do on a too was just ridiculous.
Yeah, stupid good. I mean, just stupid good.
Yeah, so this is the model that the client sent me, and I reduced the polygon count by 1/10 and doubled the detail.
Yeah, man.
And it's like this perfectly spaced out mesh model on a digital sculpt. And he was like, yeah, I wish I could sculpt it by hand though, but you know, we have to do digital now. And it's like, what the hell?
Dude, if I end up with some considerable amount of money, I'd love to commission him to model something for me.
Oh my gosh.
Have him do like Charda, action Charda or something. He'd probably like to.
I think a character like Charda might be better for Dino.
Yeah, you know what
He picks up commission right now.
I got to meet Sam Della Rosa. I like his Venom and Carnage drawings. Did Sam Della Rosa do Venom? Oh, that's an interesting one. You know, Todd McFarlane is the half inventor of Venom. They gave
Really?
yeah, because basically Todd McFarlane got famous by doing Spider-Man and contorting Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man was actually very stiff like the rest of them, you know, and he would swing almost like Tarzan but stand straight up. And Todd was the first one who started contorting his body in all those weird ways and started doing the spaghetti webbing and stuff. And at the time, Spider-Man had a black suit. And they said, hey, Spider-Man was like the 28th best title they had at the time. So Spider-Man had really fallen off. And they said, hey, Todd, do you want to do Spider-Man? He's like, yeah, but I want to do the traditional suit. And they were like, well, that's not what we're going to do here. So what he did was he did the issue where the suit came off. No, he made a deal with him. He said, what if we take the suit off and put it on a villain? And that's what Venom was. So it would give the producer or the editor, which I think was like Jim Shooter at the time, would give them what they wanted. So that he accidentally invented Venom. He's got such an interesting story. He's really somebody that when he's gone, there's not going to be a parallel. He's just one of those guys.
How do you feel about those Venom movies?
I never watched them. You know what's crazy? I loved Batman, No, I didn't love Superman. I loved X-Men, Spider-Man. I loved Wolverine, and I liked Batman, and I watched the cartoons. I collected the toys, but I just haven't liked the superhero movies. I don't make it a deal to watch them.
Have you seen the Logan movie though?
No, I haven't seen anything.
Dude, you need to watch the Logan movie. It's like the last Wolverine movie. It's like the end of his life. He's like old man Logan or something.
Okay, I believe it, and I like Hugh Jackman.
It's just fucking good, and I watched it when I was just over all of the superhero movies.
Yeah, I'm just so surprised that this is like all that cinemas are now, are superhero movies. I mean, I like it. I think it's cool, but I think I just had a different experience. My superheroes were in comic books and were cartoons, and when they started turning them into people, it's like that's just not how I viewed movies. I still am a big fan of 90s movies. Isn't it crazy? The 90s may be one of the best artistic eras of America. and we didn't even know it at the time. But like the movies that were coming out in the 90s were just incredible. And they're what they're called auteur films, which are closer that instead of doing a movie that's about a character, because really the superheroes, and I'm not talking bad about the superheroes, it's fantastic. It actually seems like, based on Greek ancient culture, that the Greeks, they had gods, right? They had all these gods that are very similar to our superheroes, which was, the argument is that, okay, well, people actually believe they exist, but we're not sure that's even true. That this actually might be a process of cultural development, which is the zeitgeist of civilization. Wow, this is actually pretty good content. I'm admiring myself at the moment. But it is the zeitgeist of the civilization to have these kinds of gods, and they have backstories that have been around. I mean, Superman's been around, 75 years or something like that? Like, they're these heroes. They're somewhat flawed, but not quite, and they have these powers, and you can tell these stories, and these are things that happen in Western society, and I think probably not even just Western, all societies, but this is just an aspect of our evolution. So we didn't even know when they were creating. Quit tap. I wish you guys could see her paw tapping on me because it's so funny. She taps on me like, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me." Tap, 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 tap. Do you want to get on the stream, kitty? She hates when I do this. Come here, kitty. Come here, kitty. Say hi to everybody. Say hi, kitten. Say hi. Meow. She's like, why? She probably doesn't want to look at the light. Aw. Come here, kitten. What do you want? You want to bite me? Oh, she's licking me. Are we friends now? Huh? I love Charlie. She's the best. But I can't play right now, Charlie. I know I'm getting all wound up over here, but I'm doing other things. But auteur films are like authored films. So the movies that they make now it's a lot of things are happening when they make movies, but they're for these superhero movies. But you have the backstory, and then you have sedentary rock where you're building on this new thing. And so you're trying to keep the old fans happy, but it's got to be entertaining for the new fans, and you got to do this balancing act. And it's really more about the lore of the story of the characters. In the 90s, it was about the director. It was about the author. So the director would be one mind controlling this movie being made, but as an author writing a book. So it was this incredible kind of taking all these resources and creating this piece of art that has all these different art elements to it. Those are the kinds of movies that I like. You have now contracted toxoplasmosis. Joel's in the chat. Do you see Joel's here? Do you know how to treat toxoplasmosis is through Daraprim? And Daraprim is the drug that Martin Shkreli put out with the Turing Pharmaceuticals, where he jacked up the price of the medicine by 7,000% or something like that, and then made America hate him, turn him into pharma bro. And then the Southern District of Manhattan charged him for wire fraud. That's what I was saying earlier, James, is like, if the government, you probably have already committed a crime in business. It's just that there's so many laws about money that they generally don't pursue you unless they want to. So like this idea, if you're a white collar criminal, the one thing I would say is like, if you are, now I understand why successful people don't have opinions. It makes sense now. It's like, if you're a target, you don't want people to not like you, because when people start sifting through your life, we all turn without turning on our blinkers. We all slip up, right? No one's perfect. And America's a country of rule of law. So there's a lot of rules. But anyway, yeah. So he was sent to prison for 7 years for never really pulling back on it. He didn't do anything wrong. I mean, he didn't do anything illegal. Just people hated him for it. Pfizer does the same thing. I mean, all the pharmaceutical companies do it. He just went out there and didn't repent. I think the government actually took $60 million away from that company, and he took them to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decided to keep the money. or I mean, the Supreme Court doesn't have the money, but they took the money away. The money's been liquidated. You know what's wild? When you break the law and the government and the police get the money that you acquired illegally, it's so wild. Like, is it like a quarter of all the Bitcoin in the world in the U.S. Treasury now because of them just acquiring it from illegal means? Well, not illegal means, people committing crimes, and therefore they were able to seize their assets. And so they keep transferring it into the wallets. I think the third largest Bitcoin wallet is the federal government, the U.S. government.
Cool.
Joel says, I'm okay with living with toxoplasmosis. Yeah, well, you were already a little insane, so I don't think it's going to change you too as much. I think they say toxoplasmosis causes you to serve your cat even more. Like, I think it makes you love your cat. Let's look it up. You guys want to learn about toxoplasmosis? Why not?
Oh, is this the thing that all cats infect you with so you, like, love them?
Yeah, so it's cat fecal matter in the air can get into your brain and cause you to go insane. And they just discovered this thing not that long ago for such a substantial disease. But it kind of
dogs have something like that, or they're just that affectionate?
I don't know. I think all I know is that it's cats. So that the fecal matter in the air from cats causes the owner to obsess about them. And they have research that's very I don't know what she was like, very effective or good research. I don't know what the term would be. Okay, let's do this one. And let's look it up. Toxoplasmosis. Get out of here, kitty. Get out of here. Stop pooping in the box. Clean up your cat poop. Toxoplasmosis. Toxoplasmosis in cats. Let's look it up. Toxoplasmosis. In cats? I didn't know it was in cats. Symptoms?
It looks like the bully from Lazy Town. Ah!
Shkreli looks like the bully from Lazy Town. What's Lazy Town?
Dude, you don't know what Lazy Town is?
No, Lazy Town bully.
Dude, look up Lazy. It was this, like, show where there was this, like, pink-haired girl, and she lived in a town of puppets. And her and this, gosh, I forgot what the lead was. Her and this, like, super active dude would try and, like, get all the people of Lazy Town to, like, be active.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess that's not a bad call out. Martin's probably way skinnier than this guy. You know what's so weird about Martin's face? He's got
Bye, Bob.
Martin's got a really bad nose. He just is not a good looking guy. Is Bob out? Bye, Bob. I think when you started using kitty voice, you know you got it. Those little Key. Key, there you are, Key. Come here, Charlie the Key cat. Come here, Key. You guys want to see my cat? Okay, toxoplasmosis. Let's read about it for a minute. Symptoms. Symptoms. Common parasite. So it's a parasite. That's the crazy part. It's a parasite. Common parasite found in undercooked meat and cat feces causes toxoplasmosis. Most people with the infection don't have symptoms. So you can have it and there's no sign of it. But it can cause serious disease for pregnant women. Few. Infants. Few. Good for me. And people with weakened immune systems. All right, I got a strong immune system. I'm good. I eat dirt every morning. Some people with
I think you need to start eating the cat poop to really start
to build up immunities. Yeah, I'm gonna start eating cat shit. You're right. That makes sense.
I think that's the move. I mean, if we're really trying to get you this toxoplasmosis.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, no, I want to overcome it. Is what I want to do.
Oh, wait, I thought the object. Never mind.
Where's the Okay, let's do this. Back to it. Damn, Daniel. I don't know you, but bye, Bob. Bob's a regular. He's been around for a while. He was like Fujo Bear, which I don't see Fujo Bear anymore. Not anymore, but I don't see him as much. He might be lurking.
Yeah, Bob. You know Bob's order. He's a regular.
Yeah, Bob's been around for a while. He's an OG.
Dude, I love it when I love being a regular somewhere and you go there, and then they just tell you that they just like take your card. You know, you go up to the counter, they know your order, you go sit
Oh yeah, my buddy's like that. My buddy Mark, the other half of Conformity Farm, when he goes to no, what it was, he was ordering calzones from Jet's Pizza and get it delivered, and he got them every day for like 2 months, and then he didn't order once, and they called him and asked him if everything was okay. Yeah, hey, is everything okay? What are you doing? Now, can you imagine if you had pick up the phone? First off, who even makes phone calls nowadays, right? But so you just see this number and you're like, okay, yeah, you do make phone calls, that's true. But then you pick up the phone and it's, what if they're just like, you're like, hello? And they're like, hey. They don't introduce themselves. You're like, wait, is everything okay? And you're like, I'm sorry, who am I talking to? I'm like, oh, this is Alan from Jet's Pizza. You generally have your calzones ready if you want it. Like, no, I wasn't going to order it. They're like, that's fine. We already made it. We could just bring it to you. Right, kitty? Where's the kitty at? You want some kitty footage? Get some kitty footage. Come here, kitty. Come here, kitten. Yes. Yes, kitty footage. There it is. She loves this thing. My mom got it for her. Grandma got it for you, didn't she? Come on. Come on, kitty. Let it go. She's got these meat hooks. Yeah. Oh, you're silly, cat. All right, that's the best I can do. I gotta wait until the end of the stream. Nothing but the best content here at Conformity Farm. That's top end content. Now I'm gonna do something I saw on Howard Stern's. I'm gonna fart into the mic for the next 20 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Finally.
That's what I'm here for. Bob comes back. He's like, hey, Bob in. Bob's back. That's funny. Bob. Bob. There should be like a Bob award. What, Key? Oh, Key.
The Bob Award.
Yeah. Joel, if you want, you're welcome to join the Discord. No pressure, but just want to let you know you're welcome to pop in. Okay, let's keep cranking on this. So they actually have a table here on this shot. I love the content, bro. I'm glad you like it. Little by little. Little by little, we do small things to improve. Okay, yeah. So you almost had like a card table. And the way I'm drawing this, it doesn't really match with that. But I do like that idea. Stop it, kitty. She will not stop. Kitty, go. Go out and go get a job, kitty. Freaking kitty. Okay. So yeah, there's like, it's almost like a card table, like a felt card table. I think I should incorporate that. So we're going to spread this out a little bit because I want the continuity to make sense. Continuity is important. When you lose people, they don't assume it's because they're dumb. They just think the thing sucks. That's the one thing I've learned. The audience owes you nothing. So always keep that in mind. All right. So maybe what we'll do is we'll take this little Warheim soldiers. Warheim. What's the name of the World War I German soldiers? Isn't that the Warheim Empire? Whatever.
That's well over my head. I'm not in my 30s yet. I haven't decided whether or not I was going to get into old wars or smoked meat yet.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I was told. When I hit my 30s, I have to either get into old wars or smoked meat, and I haven't made the decision yet.
Oh my God, my buddy's been telling me about Roman emperors, and it's kind of just so far away that I don't like hearing the details of it because it's like, how do we fucking even know? But what was the thing? I actually found out that in the 1500s, a Spanish priest ordered that all of the books of the Aztecs be burned except for 2. But in my time of learning, I was under the... Is
that the Spanish Inquisition?
Yeah, which lasted for a while. Isn't it wild? That's what the Spanish did with their empire. They're like, we're going to fucking expand Christianity. I mean, that was their goal. But I mean, it worked. I mean, everyone in my neighborhood speaks Spanish, so they were very effective. But I was under the impression that the Aztecs had never acquired written writing, that they had spoken word and that they had a lot of different technologies, but they hadn't acquired writing. But this information that I got, which was just, I don't remember, it was just something that I read. It was like contrary to what I understood. And also, that's pretty wild too. Like the ancient Greeks, everything that's left over from the ancient, well, not everything, but most of what's left over from the ancient Greeks are things that are so advanced on how to run a civilization and a society as a whole that we've borrowed them. And look at democracy. They came up with democracy, and democracy was just, okay, why don't we borrow from the Greeks and Romans and make a system that'll last a long time? And it's been the dominant. Hey, is there any way? Joel said, add me in. How do I add Joel in? I thought I had. Can you invite?
I can't add him.
You can't add him. What's
No.
What's your Discord handle?
Here, I'll send it to you.
Just put it in general or whatever, and then I'll add him in. And Joel, you're always welcome to pop in on these things, so don't be timid. You're always welcome. Did you send it yet, James?
No, I'm trying to. It's not letting me copy paste.
Dude, the stuff that Aries puts up is so wild. He said all men are cremated equal.
I saw that. That was funny.
Yeah, he's funny. It's a little morbid sometimes, but spicy sashimi. Okay. And then copy. And then what? I should search for him.
Oh wait, I might be able to invite him to the server.
Please do. Yeah, just bring him to the server.
MP Midnight Diners, Playboys, Skillshare Club, Gatewalker, Hoops All Bears, Jam. I don't think I have access to the Conformity Farm server.
We are in it.
Because it's called Space Cats.
Oh,
So I'm in it, but I don't know if I have the permission. Give me a sec.
you know what I can do is I can just give him. Can't you get a link and then just give him a link to get in?
Oh, Space Cats. Right in.
What in the world?
Has been added.
Cool. What's up, kitty? What is your deal, kitty? What are you doing? Sweet girl. I gotta get back to work. Kitten energy. That's what it is all about. Aren't we all just a kitten in our own way? You gotta be kitten me. You gotta be kidding me. Yo, welcome. Welcome. What's up?
Dude, I gotta say, earlier I fucked up. Who Martin Shkreli actually reminds me of is fucking Neville from iCarly.
Yo!
And the Lazy Town guy, like, who reminds me of him is George Santos. So.
Oh, okay.
My bad. That'll probably make
Dude, he does look like Neville.
Neville's
Dude, he's like the same person too.
really?
It's like 20 years after iCarly, he like instead of like scamming people online, he just like upcharges people for drugs.
Yeah. I never got to watch that show.
You were too old, dude.
Yeah.
It's probably a good sign that you didn't watch that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, it's not offensive. It's just true.
Yeah, I'm not offended.
James made it seem like it was like a diss or something, but
No, I'm always just trying to. I'm trying to stir shit right now.
I don't think TJ is old. I think he's experienced.
No, I'm old. I'm definitely old, and that's okay.
I feel old.
Do you?
Dude, my knees are
That's
starting
not
to hurt.
I was
Damn,
gonna
dude.
say, dude, I got fucking arthritis now, dude.
Did you too? Like, actually?
I mean, technically I've had arthritis, like, I had, like, juvenile arthritis, and then it went away for a long time, and now it's coming back.
God damn. I remember when you had pseudo gout, too.
You had
That
gout?
was real gout, I think, now that I look back at it.
Jeez, you had
Oh,
gout?
shit.
That's a bummer. Getting gout?
It'll happen. I mean,
Yeah, my brother-in-law's got
really,
gout.
I have
it's a
ath-
really fucking weird feeling.
I thought I was getting gout, and then it was in the wrong toe. And I talked to somebody about it, and they're like, "Yeah, you just fucked up one of your small joints. You're fine." I'm like, "All right."
Is it
that
like,
sucks.
is gout like carpal tunnel?
No.
It's like a buildup of uric crystals in your joint. So if you eat like a lot of shellfish that has that mineral, or you eat like nitrates, like a lot of like sausages and shit, which I like to eat,
Oh, I get shit on sausages.
Oh
it'll
no.
go straight to your toe, dude. It'll like crystallize. You'll have like little shards in your fucking joint, like piercing you every time you move your toe. It's like
It's like an organ meat thing, right?
I mean, you can get it from that too. Like anything that's high in minerals. So like organ meat, it's usually like processing minerals, so it has it in there. Like livers and shit, like kidneys.
Yeah.
Like all. But
When you eat too much meat, yeah.
it could be like I could be totally wrong, but I think I remember looking it up because I was like, oh shit, I totally did this.
Man, how's that ankle feeling?
It's good, dude. I can like kind of run around a little bit. I'm starting to
Oh,
gym.
hell yeah.
If I don't have to work fucking late tomorrow, dude, Steve's going insane. Like, I don't want to get too into it, but he is like,
This is a public platform. We are on.
yeah. I mean, no one knows what Steve I'm talking about. I'm talking
That
about
is
Steve
true.
Liz.
There we go. Now that we've established I'm variant, now that we've established that variant.
Maybe we'll call him something different. Let's call him something else. Let's call him Ray.
Tony.
Call him Ray.
Ray.
Yeah.
It might be, okay, yeah, dude, Sugar Ray.
Yeah, all right, sure. Sugar Ray. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, even, dude, like Sugar Ray and his brother got in a huge fight today.
About what?
It ended up on like, fuck you. Well, fuck you. No, fuck you.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so bad. But yeah.
My favorite argument was when Ray number 2 called out Ray 1 and he said, "No, you know what your problem is? You don't like to admit when you're wrong. You just never want to be wrong, Ray." And then he's in front of everybody, right? Which he's a very sensitive man. And so he goes silent and everyone's just sitting at their desks and he goes, No, you don't like being wrong. He couldn't think of anything. So he goes, "No, you are." Like, and that was it. Like, it's all he had. Because it was so true, you know? I mean, he's his brother. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows what's up. It's his brother.
I mean, he was like, it's been like 40 years of this misery.
Who said that?
Like, Ray too.
Oh. Yeah, I miss him.
Man, he was bad. He's relapsed into cigarettes again.
No. I thought they were good. They sold it. I thought they'd have enough cash on hand because the big issue.
It's worse. Now it's like, I mean, I thought it was gonna be cool, but now it's like basically like DMT, like 3 times the speed. Like Steve wants it like, I mean, you know, Sugar Ray wants it like right away.
Wow.
Sugar Ray. There's Ray and there's Sugar Ray.
So you should be Sour Ray. There's Sour Ray and there's Sugar Ray. Okay?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Ray, Sugar.
That's pretty good. Sour Ray and Sugar Ray.
But damn,
That's rough,
that's
man.
good, dude. I'm going camping this weekend.
Nice.
Oh fuck yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, dude. Me and the girl are going. We're taking the train to like Illinois. What is it? Illinois State Park, like over in Zion.
Oh wow. Have you ever been there, James?
And, what?
Have you ever been there, James?
Is that near Shawnee?
No, it's on the lake.
Wow.
No, I haven't. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that does sound
It's
awesome.
like it's the only camp spot that I know that you can get to from a train.
Okay, that's how you planned it out.
And it's literally like it's like a 10-minute walk through like this like bike trail, and then you kind of turn down the street, and then it's like a 10-minute walk through like this like dirt path, and then you're at the campsite.
Nice. How long are you guys gonna
Yeah,
do that
That
for?
sounds fucking awesome. I was telling my wife about that, and dude, she was like pumped. She was not pumped. She was jealous. She was like, "Oh man, I would love to do that right now. Like, oh my god, that sounds so much fun."
It's really nice, and like I mean,
You got a
there's
cool wife.
obviously like the lake, like you get the view, and there's like a nature trail. The last time I went, dude, I went totally alone, and I just had my electric skateboard. And I was like cruising everywhere, like exploring. There's like an abandoned resort. I went and like smoked a joint like right near it, and there's like a Piggly Wiggly within walking distance, and I would just take my board there and like fucking get a haul of groceries and like firewood and shit, and just like haul it back on the board, like in between my legs. And like as I was driving back, like the last time, I noticed there was this like industrial looking building, but there were a bunch of guys outside, all in like Halloween costumes and like horror makeup and shit. And I was like, what is that? Like, what is going on? Like, it must be like a party or like a rave or something. And I found out it's actually like the top haunted house complex, I guess, in Illinois.
Whoa.
And it's
So
like
cool.
very immersive and shit. So we're gonna like camp out, and then like when it starts to get dark, we're gonna like walk over there and like do the haunted house and just have like a scary evening. She's like a spooky girl, so like it's like her dream come true.
Oh, I love that.
And then you're gonna
That's
like
cool.
hang out in the woods after just being scared.
Well, we're gonna watch I'm gonna bring my laptop so we can watch like fucking Blair Witch or something like that, like as well. And then we're gonna go out into the woods and walk around.
Cool.
The most shocking part of that story is to find out there's a Piggly Wiggly in the state of Illinois. That's bizarre. I didn't know there were any up here.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
They exist.
I didn't think there were any of them north of Tennessee, honestly.
Dude, in Tallahassee, Florida, there's a Hoggly Woggly. That shit makes me laugh every time I see it.
Hoggly Woggly. You know what's great too is it gets people to try it. You know what I mean? Those kinds of names, they do have a pretty
Oh,
decent
yeah.
purpose that way.
I mean, it's just a gas station. Like,
Oh, I
but
see.
It's so funny. It's probably still there, dude. I'm about to look it up.
Hoggly Woggly. You know the big one in Ohio, they have these things called Wawas, and they have them in Pennsylvania too. I think that, and then Sheetz. They're these gas stations where you can. There's like a, basically like a. Hold on one second. They're gas stations where you can basically order a bunch of food, and I don't know, they'll make it. There's like a kitchen in the back, and people like them. But you order everything on like a tablet. Yeah, I don't know. Like nice little echo. Hoggly Woggly. You ever been to a Piggly Wiggly, James?
No, I don't think I have.
They're just grocery
What a
stores.
Kroger.
Oh yeah, well I used to bag groceries at Kroger when I was in high school.
Man, you've worked so many jobs.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm poor. I grew up poor. If I wanted anything. I have had a ridiculous number of jobs. That's true. That's
how many jobs have I worked? I worked 4 in college.
oh, and
and
I'm just a
then
lot
I
older than
worked
you.
2 before that, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8 jobs in my life probably. I mean that's not counting like, you know, when I'm like a young kid just like going out and like, you know, mowing lawns and shit. But
I used
jobs.
to do that. I used to put out flyers and have those tearaway phone numbers, and then I would pick up gigs mowing lawns. Gray Fox says, "Wow, I haven't heard Piggly Wiggly in years. They used to have some in Texas. What do they do in Texas? What's the thing out in Texas? Just Walmart?
Lucky's, dude.
Lucky's?
Buc-ee's.
Oh,
Dude,
Buc-ee's. Yeah.
speaking of gas stations, man, I just fucking love the Quick Trip.
Quick Trip's sick, dude.
Dude, the Wisconsin Quick Trips, oh, buddy.
Georgia also has a Quick Trip, but it's with a
Oh, really?
Q. It's like QUIK.
I saw one of those in Illinois, I'm pretty sure, and I took a picture of it, and I think I sent it to our other Wisconsin friend, and was like, "Bro, somebody's putting out a discount Quick Trip.
Does
The
any
donuts are called Glazers."
No, dude, it's pretty fucking good. It's basically like Wisconsin Quick Trip.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I just go wherever I can to go take a shower at Pilot as often as I can.
Wait, a shower at Pilot? What do you mean by that?
Pilot gas stations.
You can take showers there?
Yeah, it's like a trucker stop gas station type place. You see them on the freeway a lot. They're called Pilot. You see them all the time.
Dude.
I was mostly joking. What's going on here?
You could do it, though.
Yeah, you could. You like pay a monthly fee or whatever. There's a guy on social media who's living in his car, and he's delivering food, and he's saving up $60,000 to get a tiny home, and he's at like 57,000 something, and he just sleeps at different places and takes showers at.
Oh, is this a guy like I DoorDash like every single day until I can buy a tiny home?
Yeah,
I
you
live
see
in
him
my
too.
car.
Yeah, it's honestly one of my favorite social media takes on social media, because once he's done doing that, he's then going to start his channel to be about building this tiny home. Yeah, it's brilliant. I actually thought about this today when I saw him on it. I was like, this is really what social media would be about, right? It's just like formulating what's going on in your life, and then showing it in a way that can be consumed quickly, right? So the platform gets something out of it, but then also giving people a reason to follow. Because the truth is, if you DoorDash all the time, why would I even look up your channel? I would only look up your channel because I'm considering DoorDashing, and I want to watch 1 or 2 videos to get an idea of what you make in a day. After that, I got no reason to even follow you. But if you're living in your car and you're one of these people in this generation who doesn't have enough money to get affordable housing, like pretty much all of us, that's something that I can follow along with. That's something I'd like to see how you handle this. HEB. Yeah, HEB's a Texas one. HEB's. What's the ones they put on military bases? Bex or something like that? I don't know. Keep asking military things.
The Nets.
Nets. Is that what it is? Nex?
NEX.
Yeah. And then they don't charge tax or something like that.
Yeah, but you have to use a military ID to get in.
So you got to kill a soldier? No problem.
Well, I just go in with my brother.
Oh, well, you could do that.
Drone now.
To kill a soldier. Yeah, I know. Oh, that's so dark. Yeah. You're like, what if I was like, I'll kill it. Yeah. It's pretty wild. I saw a clip of a Russian soldier running away from a drone, and I was able to see the clip because I don't look for the hardcore explicit stuff. So he was able to shoot the drone out of the air. But I just imagine how terrifying it is. He's just in the woods, stepping on twigs and stuff, and he's running in circles. And this drone's got I don't know if it's a human pilot or what, but he's like trying to just get close enough to detonate. And I was like, man, this is such a wild form of warfare. Most Buc-ee's gas stations have around 100 gas pumps. Yeah, so Buc-ee's is almost like a trucker stop too. Yeah.
I mean, it feels like whenever you walk inside, it feels like you're in a fucking Walmart or something. It's humongous.
I'm into that.
The best thing about a Buc-ee's, though, I mean, to me, is they have like a deli counter, basically, where you can get beef jerky. And they have, like, it's different than the jerky they sell in the bags. It's, like cured, like, the day or, like, that week. You know, like fresh jerky that's like, it's so thick and it tastes so natural, dude. It's like,
I'm about it.
Salivating over here, dude.
I do love me some jerky.
I'm getting a little hot and bothered thinking about this jerky. Oh, they got turkey jerky, they got fucking bison jerky, salmon jerky. Oh man,
You sound like Bubba from Forrest Gump. They got hamster jerky. You got pigeon jerky. You got jerky. Yeah.
Pig jerky.
Did I say hamster jerky? Yeah, you already said that. All right. Well, that's really good. Charizard jerky.
Wow.
Man, I wish I had my Charizards. I had about 4 or 5 of them at one time. So wild to think about.
Dude, I'm playing Fire Red right now.
Damn.
I got a.
Dude, I'm playing TCG Live right now.
Really? What is
Yeah,
that?
I've been playing the Pokemon TCG like game, and you it's like you're playing with the actual you're playing with the current cards. You're trying to make decks and trying to build rank.
Yeah, Gray Fox, you actually saw the clip. That's what it was. So the guy didn't shoot the drone. He threw his rifle at the drone, and it actually destroyed it. That's the reason why the clip went around. That's what it was. At a last-ditch effort, I think he might have ran out of ammunition, and he threw the rifle at it, and it detonated it, and the drone blew up. That's what it was. Okay. Man, Gray Fox, what are you up to, dude? How come you always know everything I'm talking about? Jeez. It's bizarre.
Who is this guy?
He's one of our regulars. He's an OG. He's a new G. Newer G. He's a tech.
I like your new thumbnail I saw earlier.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I should keep it up, huh?
You're getting real. That's real, like YouTube-y of you.
Yeah. Very Mr. Beast. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I clicked on it.
Did you? You're like you could look at it. You're like, what a sellout. Well, let's see what it's about. You're like,
he's putting real effort into it right now.
Yeah. What a sellout. I might as well check it out though for a second. It works.
What the fuck? This guy sucks. I gotta see what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I hate this guy. Better watch it to hate on him.
Dude, did you see Papa Meat's new video where he reviews all the pizzas?
No. That's interesting.
So he got like a new like I don't know if you saw, like he had like the puppet computer thing. But then
I did see that. Like, he posted a lot with that.
Like a new creature.
That's an oven? It's an oven? Is it the creature that's an oven? Okay, I saw that he posted that. I actually saw it in the shop. So I'm assuming he commissioned someone to do it in his town. And I feel like I saw him go to it and take pictures and post it.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Because it looks like some custom. I mean, what am I saying? It's not like you can get those somewhere. Alligator jerky.
Yeah. I sent it to Dino, and he was like, yeah, this is awesome.
Dino.
Like, dude, I'm missing him, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I miss all you guys, for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking that not too long ago, man. Like, I started to have a feeling about the partners where I was like, man, I wish they would have been more open about how bad things were and admitting that they didn't know what they were doing, because they had enough brain trust to pull something off. It just, yeah. I don't remember who I was talking about. I might have been talking about it with James, where it's like they're an example of being like the world changed. Like when Toys R Us closed and things kept getting worse and worse, you never thought maybe we as the leaders should change things. And you're like, nope, it's always been this way. Do or die. We're just going to keep going until the ship sinks.
Dude, if they had just if they had gotten Jarko on board, we would have owned half the city. I'll get my cousin. They'll put the pressure.
Honestly, if they would have done what the Rays of Sunshine did and went to Amazon, if they just would have picked a product and gotten behind it, bought the inventory. James was just talking about this. James, I don't know if you want to take it from here, but basically announced that we're not parking in the garage anymore because we're going to keep storing inventory. Then you hire someone like the cleaning person who prints labels and just drives a van to UPS, and then we just manage it that way. I bet they could have made a lot of money that way.
Yeah.
I think it would also required cutting the staff in half, but...
You think so?
So, yeah.
Or cutting the staff and then probably hiring people to do things like managing the Amazon account.
No,
and stuff
because
like
you still need certain personnel. And there was still certain personnel that was generating money in the traditional, in the traditional revenue stream. There was probably
Vic.
3 or 4 people who could continue operating on that business model, and then everybody else would have had to shift.
Damn. What do you keep Vic? He was still good.
I mean, I don't want to start naming everybody's names right now.
No,
but
don't
he
say
would
their
be
name.
on
Say
he
the
would be
name.
on the A-tier list for keep doing what you're fucking doing.
Say their name. Say what.
Mike and George.
Yep. You know, when I said 3 people, those were the 3.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Probably not Brett.
No.
He was.
Brett would be way too powerful as a designer or a production engineer.
Probably not
towards the line.
Probably not
Gordon.
Oof. That's a tough one.
Gordon would be way too powerful as a production designer.
Yeah, maybe not I don't know, dude. Maybe not Bill.
I've never really understood what Bill was up to half the time.
He likes to keep it that way.
I like him. It's one of my favorite personalities, but I never really, not that I really knew what people were up to.
I love getting in a conversation with Bill.
Yeah, he
loves video games.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Dude, he was like to me, he was like the completionist, that I knew. I've never known someone to no matter what the game is, if he started it, he'd be like, I have to get every achievement that you can get in this game. And I don't like it. I don't like that I'm playing it, but I have to do it.
It's got to be
my
done.
buddy Andrew is like that.
Yeah, they're called autistic people.
Well, yeah. You know, as someone who's probably mildly on the spectrum of some kind.
I'm definitely on this. I'm definitely on the spectrum. I mean,
I feel like the whole spectrum got really wide recently.
That's funny that you say that. Yeah, and
I feel like the autism spectrum just became a lot more accepting recently.
Yeah, that's true. That's pretty good.
Yeah, dude. All the way from infrared to ultraviolet, dude.
That's pretty good.
I'm fighting Team Rocket right now. It's my first Team Rocket fight.
Oh, fuck.
Dude, choosing anything except for Squirtle, makes Pokemon so slow. The first 3 and, the remakes. If you're Charmander or fucking Bulbasaur, you're fucked. Because the first, the first gym fight and the first, big, cave, it's all shit that can fuck you up so fast.
Oh, because it's poison and rock.
Yeah.
Well, rock doesn't really fuck with. Rock's neutral.
Yeah, well, it's really bad against Bulbasaur, but then as Charmander, you really can't do any. You can get Scratch that's about it. And then you get Ember, but Ember doesn't really work.
Yeah.
And then the only other Pokemon you can catch are Bird and, like, Grass type.
Yeah, no, flying types get wrecked.
Bug type.
Yeah.
Bug
Rock
type.
neutral on bug.
I don't know why I can't
No,
draw this.
It's not?
No.
Rock crush bug?
Rock does crush bug.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused because I've been playing Pokemon TCG and there's less typing in Pokemon TCG.
Rock don't crush bug?
Rock don't? Well, there's no rock. It's just fighting type.
Oh.
You say black don't crack? Is that what you said?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to bring up movie news. I forgot.
Movie news.
I'm going to go see Terrifier 3, though.
Terrified at 3. Is that
What's
the
that
one?
one?
There is a movie.
Terrifier is like the fucked up clown movie.
Terrifier 3. Okay, I see. Oh, okay, yeah. That clown is a little. That guy's iconic. What's he from? Is it?
Dude,
That's
like,
a great.
I was
That's
really
fantastic.
skeptical.
It's a very fantastic character design with
He
him.
kind of looks like, to me, I don't know if this is like intentional. Like, I haven't seen this brought up as like, oh yeah, he's totally this guy. But I think he's like Marcel Marceau, like the French mime. He's like really similar makeup, and he is like a mime clown. Like, he's totally like nonverbal, and like just like kind of his mannerisms. It's very funny. Like, it's really weird because he's like charismatic and funny, but he's doing like the most like horrible shit that you've ever seen in a movie.
Jesus. I have trouble with horror
like,
films.
I can't get enough. I fucking love them, dude. Like, I don't know what it is, but like I just feel like there's like such a unique, like, there's so much more that can be expressed in a horror movie than any other movie. Like, it's the most intense emotion, like being like scared for your life.
Yeah.
And then like you like attach any other kind of emotion to it, like it just becomes like that much more powerful. So people will use horror as like a vehicle to like express like all kinds of emotions. I don't know. Like, I think there's something special about it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're not alone. It's the most popular genre. It's a genre.
But which is fucked up because I think it's the most snubbed genre, like when it comes to like awards and everything. Like,
Yeah.
there are so many horror movies that deserved the Oscar for that year, and they weren't even fucking nominated.
Well, Parasite. Well, I guess Parasite's not a horror film.
It's a thriller horror. Like, I think that's a big win for like horror fans.
Yeah, that was heavy. Yeah. Well, I don't think winning an Oscar is indicative of being good or not. It's really just a bunch of people congratulating themselves for the work that they did. And Hollywood likes to do long dramas.
I mean, I think Cannes is more like, meaningful now.
What is?
Cannes? Like,
Oh,
the Cannes
Cannes Film Festivals. Cannes or Cannes, whatever. Yeah.
I don't know French.
Yeah, neither do I. The
Only
Palme
there
d'Or.
for 2 months.
Oh, you lived in France? France? Really? That's
I
cool.
lived in France.
France? Are they as
I
rude?
actually do. Like, when I went, Dad had a campus there, and I lived like in the village where the Marquis du Sade had his castle. That was turned into like a shitty art museum, but we would like climb on top of it and like drink French beers and smoke French weed.
How's the weed in France?
Shit. So bad.
I bet.
It's like grown like in the same like row as their tomatoes, which are similar plants, but it's just like their tomatoes aren't good.
Fair enough. That'd be wild, man. Are they as rude as people say they are?
I don't think so.
Now, were people willing to speak English to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I always
like,
hear is that they know English, but they'll refuse to speak it to people often.
No,
but that might just be the
that's not,
Parisians.
No, and I mean, like, you can, like, once I learned, like, kind of how to, like, read it, like, I didn't know what most of the words meant, but they would have, like, in the restaurant, they would have, like, you know, what it is in French, and then they would have, like an English description.
Oh, wow.
And, like, you would just have to know how to read that word and pronounce it, like, correctly, and then they'd be cool. Like, it wasn't, like, they would never get mad.
Were you ever in Paris?
But, I mean, I would say, like, Paris is fucking, the one stereotype, it is dirty.
Really?
Like, it's pretty gross. Like, I don't know. Like, I think.
Did you walk
like,
around? Did you walk around
city,
France? Did you walk around France telling everybody, saying, "Hey, I'm American. You're welcome. You're welcome for your freedom. You're welcome."
I was like, yeah. Yeah.
I did that.
Who the fuck do you think you are? I am.
That's one of the best sports quotes of all time.
Yeah. There were, like, at one point, like, I remember, like, there was, like, some fucking cops, like, walking around with, like, full body armor. Like, they looked like straight out of, like, a fucking Marvel movie. I was like, yeah, can I take a picture? And they're like, no.
No.
We kept walking. I was like, oh shit, dude, I shouldn't have even asked. Like, I forgot where I was.
That's funny.
Meanwhile, in America, like, I was be like, yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, they'll show up and
Horse cops hand out trading cards of themselves. Did you know that?
No, that's cool.
What's the most rare?
Well, it's just like, dude, it's most of the time it's just a picture of their horse.
I should hand out
No,
pictures
dude,
of
but
Charlie.
I'm trying to get into the market right now. I'm about to bust up on Whatnot with some horse pics. Actually, dude, like, nothing has been infuriating me more than all of the fucking Whatnot ads I've gotten on YouTube.
What is Whatnot?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
So Whatnot is basically like live stream, like, sellers. It's like QVC for, like, Pokemon cards and, like, designer clothes.
Gross.
Like, trading cards in general, like, collectible shit,
It's
like
just
fucking
like eBay.
like Funko Pops and all like coins, like random bullshit like that.
Okay.
And, like, generally expensive stuff that they'll be like, oh, we got a good deal going right now. Everyone come and, like, bid on this shit.
Right.
And like, so many times it'll be like counterfeit shit.
Oh.
Or they'll have, like, basically a gambling game where you can, like, pay to bet on what card you think they're gonna pull from the pack. And it's like, if you get the winning card, like, you'll get, like, this whole, like, fucking like, all these boxes of unopened packs behind us. And it's like it is legit gambling.
Yeah.
But some are able to, like, advertise that on YouTube.
Well,
think, like,
gambling's is legal now.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be legal to, like, advertise it on certain things. Like, I don't know, like, sports betting has, like, kind of gotten away with it for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
like, they're starting to crack down on that too. But the blind box, like, gambling, like, I think, like, what that reminds me of is, like, the Counter-Strike, like, loot box gambling that they used to do, which targeted pretty much children.
Jeez.
And I feel like this is kind of, like, predatory, like,
Sure.
towards that same, like children and, like, people who are, like vulnerable to gambling, but not,
Sure.
like, willing to do, like, they don't consider this real gambling, but it totally is.
Right.
You know?
I mean, anything that puts you in a situation where you have to make a decision quickly, where you spend your money, a high pressure situation, is pretty unethical.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I don't mess with auctions very often, unless I need something on eBay maybe. But it's like something I have to have. But that concept, like, you know, you start to forget the value of the thing. You somehow have this impression that you actually have the thing. And as time runs out, if someone outbids you, you're like, how dare you? You know, and you have this very short amount of time. It's kind of messed up. If you market that to kids, I think that's highly unethical.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're preaching to the choir, because I'm a huge, like, eBay, like, addict.
Yeah.
You've seen my place. You know what I've done.
I know you like nice things. I know.
Yeah. It's like it's totally predatory.
Yeah, that's why it's not a good idea to make investments through auction behaviors. You're not going to be able to make a very shrewd or prudent decision.
Yeah. That, and like what I think is weird is like the YouTube ads and just like ads in general that have like kind of, they fake like an influencer format.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about? Like, they have,
yeah,
like,
sure.
kind of like a fake influencer, and like it's just some random person. They'll be like, "You'll never believe what I found here. Like, I did all my own research, and this is the best so and so that I've been able to find." And like,
I feel weird
people
about
are, like,
what are
so
those people
programmed
like?
into like seeing all these new influencers all the time, and they can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Where it's like this is not like someone that like posts online. This is someone who like applied to like did a casting call
Yeah.
for an ad, and
Sure.
they made them pretend to be like someone who's like posting online as like a normal person.
It always,
It's really weird.
yeah, I see it all the time. There was one I almost fell for, and he was like, I don't remember what he was talking about, but right away I was like, screw you. Like right away I realized, you know, that it was an ad. But it works. That's why they're doing it.
Dude, Sandshrew just slapped this ball out of his face so fast.
Nice. Sandshrew is yours, right?
No. No, trying to
What?
catch some Sandshrew.
Dude, sand slash is a great ground type. Because it's rock ground, right? Or is he just rock?
Yeah. I think so. I can't remember, dude. He's definitely rock.
I know he has
must be rock
weakness to
sand
water.
now. I think Sand Slash, like, does he become fighting? I don't fucking remember this.
Sand slash.
He just keeps using defense curl, you fucking coward.
Yeah, he's a ground type. Sand slash is ground type.
Okay.
Ground type is one of my favorites. Yeah, because originally he's rock type, right? No, he's ground. Weird. I thought he was rock type, but yeah, ground. He's weak to ice, water, and grass.
Yeah, I don't have any of that yet.
Dude, that's why you got to
No
start
way
with
to get
Bulbasaur.
I like him, but I wanted to do a Charizard run because I'm doing fucking Fire Red. He's on the cover.
Dude, I'm a Bulbasaur. I normally always pick the water starter type except Gen 1. It's like
Why?
Gen 1 and Gen 4 are the only time I pick the grass type.
Why?
So, Turtwig is just a fucking beast. I love the ground typing. I have a weakness for ground typing.
Mm-hmm.
Turtwig is super cool, and I don't like Blastoise, which is Squirtle's final evolution.
Right.
What?
Because I don't like that he has metal on him.
Oh, I didn't know he had metal on
He's
him.
so cool, though.
It doesn't make sense that he gets metal cannons in his third evolution when his character doesn't have metal on him for the first two evolutions.
Wait a second.
They're not
Wait a
metal,
second,
it's silver
James.
shell.
That's where they lost you in Pokemon? When
Dude,
Blastoise has cannons on him? That's what did it for you?
I know. I know it's ridiculous, but that's just how I feel.
All right. No, I respect it. I'm just asking. You know, that's where they lost you. Pokemon.
Yeah. No, all-time favorite Pokemon are Mudkip, Horsey, Magikarp.
Magikarp.
Yeah, Dude, Magikarp's a fucking G.
Oh, I'm thinking of Goldeen.
No, Goldeen sucks.
Yeah, I know. I thought you were trolling.
I like Sea King though.
I like Gyarados.
Well, yeah, dude, did you know the story about Magikarp is the story of the carp that swims upriver and passes through the gate to become the dragon. Like, that's like the lore behind like carp and dragons and how they become that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Magikarp is that personified.
Okay.
That only through intense, gruesome, hard work that you can become great.
That's why I have that lore
like that.
on my side tattooed. I got it tattooed in Hong Kong.
That's why I keep goldfish, because they're carp.
Well, one day, whenever I overcome Sugar Ray's torment, I'll get a dragon tattoo.
Fuck yeah.
Gotta have goals.
Joel, I told TJ the other day my goldfish died, the 5-year-old one.
No.
Dude, I was so sad.
Yeah.
It was all out of nowhere too. Like it was just like there was just like a nitrate spike in the tank. It just turned bad fast, and then I did a big water change. I medicated the tank, and then like he was just dead in the morning.
Damn.
That's sad.
Yeah, it was sad. He was a fucking huge fish too.
Yeah.
Like he was bigger than 7 inches.
Which is way too big, really. If you think about it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just way too big. I don't know how you stand up.
Yeah. I think it's probably.
But yeah, I think he was just shy of 9 inches, like the 9-inch long goldfish.
Jeez.
Pretty big
Yeah, that's huge.
for a comet. Maybe he's like 8.5.
My brother had a goldfish, it was like the carp type, and it was frozen in ice over the winter, and then he thawed it out and the fish was still alive.
Whoa!
Yeah.
What?
And he would keep it.
Yeah,
He would
and
keep.
mine couldn't handle a nitrate spike.
And he would keep it in a tank with no aerator, anything. It was just a tank with no pebbles. He just, just how trashy people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the biggest goldfish I ever saw was in an unfiltered tank with 4 other goldfish. And I'm like, dude, you got to clean that tank. And he's like, we've never cleaned that tank. That's why the fish are so big. And everything he said was so inherently wrong.
Yeah.
But also impossible to disprove.
Yeah.
Because he had 4, 10-year-old goldfish in there.
That is a strange situation to be in.
Damn, dude, I gotta get some new fish soon.
My old employee, he got a job out in Chicago, but he needs a place to put. He's like, I got this 60-gallon fish tank. Do you want it? And I'm like, yes.
Dude, put it in the main
That's
living
so
area.
big. 60
Put it in the
gallons.
main room.
I feel like
Dude,
I would
love
be.
to. We
I
don't
would
have
be.
a room upstairs. It's got to go in the shop downstairs.
I would be worried the adhesive would wear while transporting it.
Are you even gonna keep the shop now?
Yeah, I mean where I'm going, they want me to do mostly remote at first. I think the issue is they want to rely on my shop for a while
Isn't that wild?
because they're still having me do development projects.
Yeah, dude, prove it to them that you can just continue to do that. That'd be fucking sick.
Well, that's the thing is the position is hybrid.
Yeah, but if it's only when necessary that you have to go in, I think that would be better than a hybrid schedule.
Yeah. That being said, I was told that that company is moving closer to where I am right now. So.
Oh shit, dude.
Yeah, and that's a big secret, but huh?
As long as you don't have to move.
No, dude, they're moving very close to where I am.
Damn, that's awesome.
Like, we're talking like half-hour commute, max. And that's like a rush hour commute.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
Unless they're just making it up to get you to come in. Yeah, we're
Maybe,
moving.
but then I just leave. I told them that. I'm like, yeah, if none of it, like, I'm not. They're like, yeah, I'm not worried about any of this. They're like, yeah, you're pretty like just like chill about this. I'm like, yeah, because if you guys don't follow through on any of this stuff, I just leave.
I love that, man. You got all the power. You can talk like that to them.
But yeah, I just don't give a shit anymore. Like, you know, yeah, it's a cool opportunity. I'm down, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
That's good because sometimes, you know, they'll test you, you know, so there's no incentive to test you at all. Unless they want you to leave, which I doubt would happen.
Fuck you, Geo, dude. Sorry.
Fuck you, Geo, dude. What is Geo's final evolution?
Dumbass. Gollum.
Doesn't Gollum not come till the second game? Isn't he a Soul Silver character?
No.
Don't you
Gollum?
have to like trade to get Gollum or something? I thought there was like a trade or something.
Gollum? Lord of the Rings? Gollum?
No, like Graveler to Gollum.
Oh, I see.
Oh my god, my Geo dude is such a dumbass.
I mean, he's a head with arms, so.
He's got enough space for a fucking brain. Oh my god, he killed himself.
Hey, it's a rampant issue in our country.
Oh,
He
God.
committed suicide.
Suicide. That's pretty funny.
God damn it.
That was pretty quick, too. That's what makes it even funnier.
Dude, I'm looking at my hit list right now,
Okay.
and my hit list is like how many things I've made versus how many things I've sold,
Thank God.
and it's 50% right now.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, I thought I was doing much worse than that. Huh.
Does that change things?
I don't know.
Come on, Pecker. Oh my god, dude, my Pecker's doing so good right now.
Is that like a Pidgey?
No, it's my Sparrow.
I always like Sparrow better than Pidgey.
Sparrow's badass, dude. He's fucking kicking the ass of the Zubat. It's like 3 levels higher than me.
Sparrow doesn't have a third evolution, right? They're just a 2-stage.
Yeah, it's Sparrow and then Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Well, we got 5 in the stream on YouTube. That's an all-time high.
Yo!
Nah, dude, you had 6 earlier.
Did I? Wow.
Yeah, man. I've seen you with 11.
Really?
Dude. You're doing it big.
What'd you say? 11 people watching TJ. Tell them to show the air hog. Here, just take it over there. Take it over there.
It's the Aerostorm.
Yeah, I know.
Excuse me.
Because the company... Oh, never mind.
It's a totally original idea. Who's the first?
It was the first. Everyone remembers. Right? You remember, right?
They ripped us off.
They ripped us
We're
off. We
ripping
came up.
anyone off right now.
We don't rip any. We never ripped anyone off.
Trolls is a concept. Trolls is a concept, okay?
I remember one time he was in a meeting.
German fairy tale. We own it.
I remember one time very early on when I met Ray, and what's it Ray and what's the other one you say? Ray, Sugar Ray?
Sour Ray and Sugar Ray.
Yeah, so Sour Ray.
Yeah,
And it's one of my first meetings I was in with him where I was starting to learn about Sour Ray. We're on a Zoom call. And so we're talking to this investor or something. And he goes, and as you know, and I think the guy's name was Jim or something. He's like, as you know, Jim, I'm sure you already know, we're the most cutting edge drone creators in this category in the world. And then the guy goes, I didn't know that. He's like, well, now you do know. And I looked at him because I was on a laptop, and I just looked at him, and he just kind of looked at me and smiled. And then we just went back to the meeting, and I was just like, man, this guy is nuts. Like, he'll just, he's a salesman.
He loves it. He loves it. That's who he is.
Yeah.
It's like, it could be like now, okay, like back in the day, like I used to think like, oh, they could totally make a show about like where we work and like the history and everything. But like, if they don't have him as a character, like they would be missing out. He would be like the perfect antagonist, like,
oh yeah,
like the perfect like sitcom like psychopath.
I'm so grateful that I got to get close to that guy and get to know him, because as I write for the rest of my life, he's going to fit in so much lore, because he isn't fake. He really embodies it. He is a fucking, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. He's kind of a villain, but he doesn't know it. He doesn't know it.
He like relishes it. Like,
Yeah.
It's insane, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I really agree with you. Like I see him in so many things now, and like there are things like I've been reading Dune, and like there's a part like in there's like a quote in Dune 4 where it's like the like megalomaniac like God Emperor like has this quote about like ineffective like managers basically versus like effective managers, and it's like, yeah, pretty much like people that are insane like make great managers because they're able to like believe anything they say and like convince people to believe it as well, and like they act like on a split decision. Like they're like, it's all about just making a decision no matter what it is and being confident in it and ready to like back it up. Like it's not about whether or not it's like necessarily a good decision.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, like it might be true. Like it's kind of true.
Yeah.
And it's why you hate people. Like it's like, I don't know. It's insane. It's just like the way like the human psychology has kind of fucked itself.
Well, it's like we're ants. You know what I mean? Some of us are meant to do certain positions, and and humans, like ants in general, like they want to have marching orders.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I identify as an omega male. But
that's pretty funny.
All right, I'm trying to build my Gen 1 team here, and I just don't see Polyrath not being on that team.
Get his app nose.
Nah, dude, no legendary.
What are you playing at?
I'm looking at the thing, and I'm like, what would my ideal list be? And I'm gonna have to go Venusaur as my starter.
Ooh.
Venusaur, I gotta go with an Arcanine. Arcanine, Polyrath. I would take Seadra, but it really only makes sense when you're playing the second game and you can get Dragons down and get Kingara. Who else are you doing, Joel? Oh, Nidoking.
I'm about to get my speed. I'm about to get my ass beat by a Clefairy.
Oh, no, Clefairy is actually a really good pick.
Well,
That being said, the Dragon typing.
It's one of those really uncomfortably sexual lasses that's in this game. I didn't realize. I'm like, oh shit, man.
Very sexual young girls.
That's kind of fucking weird.
Yeah.
You know what I've been kind of thinking? I haven't verbalized this because I only play really Fortnite and Civilization. in Fortnite they have this thing that gives you a shield, and it's like a bottle of like shield juice, and you shake it and spray it everywhere. And I was like, how did nobody in this company bring up that this is a bit problematic? Because you can spray it all over your, like, the people around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that out loud. Yeah.
No, it's like, it was definitely like on purpose.
It's wild.
What's Clefairy's defense like? Because Blissy's not in this game.
I'm about to get fought. that's its defense.
Okay. Because I essentially just want something that can, like, slam dragon. I guess the fairy typing didn't exist yet, so... Is Clefairy a normal type in that game?
I think it's normal and fairy.
Okay.
Or maybe, actually, no, I think you're right. I think fairy's not in this.
I don't think
But
Fairy's in Gen
I don't know
1.
if it's a remake, so I don't know if it, like,
Updated
they
it.
brought it into the remake or not. It doesn't matter. It still, like, totally fucked me up. I'm sending out Pecker. It'll be okay. I got it halfway down with my poison. I leveled up a fucking Metapod until it evolved into a Butterfree. But then I realized it doesn't learn, like, any, like, real attacks. It only learns poison powder.
Oh no! I think what's before Metapod? It's Wurmple.
Caterpie can learn. It knows tackle, and so like the thing to do is to level it up from Caterpie. But I didn't remember that.
That's what I was just about to say. That you have to level up your Caterpie and not let it evolve to get the better moves.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, I'm locking in my list. It's Venusaur, Arcanine, Poliwrath, Gyarados, Clefairy, and Nidoking.
I like Gyarados.
Gyarados is a great one. Well, because Gyarados gets the flying, because he never gets Dragon, but he can do Dragon moves. And he's a flying water type. So you essentially get all the advantages of being a bird with being a giant water dragon.
Yeah, that's dope.
I think you do get a double disadvantage at some point. Like with rock. Those times 4s get rough. But Poliwrath, I went with Poliwrath because I wanted the fighting type, but didn't want to go with Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee. Oh,
Yeah, leveled up my Picker.
doubled it up.
I'm level 9 now.
All right, so we got a lot of texture on this.
Ooh. What software are you using to draw on, TJ?
What's that? What software?
Yeah.
One of the most common questions I get. Someone keeps asking me what my favorite color is. It's always really kind of interesting. I was like, what is this, the first line of Bumble Date? You're asking me what my favorite color is.
What's your favorite color?
Yeah, what's your
You gotta
favorite
give 'em
color?
like a,
So what do you do?
Like a CMYK value.
I don't even think I would know, honestly.
I
CMYK.
really like
value.
mulberry.
Okay.
That's what's the CMYK for mulberry?
God, I don't know. Does anybody really know that stuff?
Some people do.
Yes. 0% cyan, 94% magenta, 54% yellow, and 53% black. Really?
Whoa.
Wow.
Got some black in them.
Wow. That's a lot.
That's a lot more black than I was expecting.
Yeah. I get that a lot.
I was expecting like a 23 on black. And the yellow, I thought it was just going to be mostly magenta, and that you would get that darkness from the cyan, not from black. So.
Well, if I was coloring my books, I guess I would have to at some point identify those things.
Yeah, you'd have to lock in what the CMYK or RGB value of like Charda's skin is.
Right. They do this thing that I've yet to do called building flats, where every single panel has the same value. And so if you change the flat, it changes every single page at the same time. I haven't gotten that far. I stick with black and white, but I do know that technology's out there.
Yeah.
We have the technology. We just need someone brave enough to do it.
Okay, Sugar Ray.
We have the technology.
I hear that twice a day.
We have the tech, really? Dude, my favorite is when he said, who's the guy who does the cleaning? I can't remember his name. Myron? Is it Myron? Who's the janitor?
Dude, you made me forget. Oh, damn, dude.
But anyway, he said when they were trying to put that, when they tore out that door, retore it out or whatever, he said,
Vern, dude.
What's his name? Darren? No, not Darren.
Vern.
He goes, Vern, tear down that wall. He just said it to himself too, and it just made me crack up. It made me appreciate that the guy just will make jokes for himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, basically. Vern told me that he believes that the earth is flat. We live on a disc. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I love Vern. He's a sweet guy.
He is a sweet guy. I was like, what, because we were looking at the eclipse, and I was like, well, how do you explain that? He's like, I really can't. And I was like, well, how did you come to the conclusion that the earth is flat? I was like, on YouTube videos, and he was like, yeah, basically. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was about it. I didn't really want to engage it too much.
I love that that's the whole conversation.
Because I like him. He's a really nice guy. I didn't want to, generally when people do things like that, I'll start to be rude, really. And I didn't want to do that to him. So I just let it go.
We're fueling the fire.
Yeah. What's interesting too is like, what I never really understood for the flat earthers is like, how come they don't have a photo of flat earth? You know what I'm saying? Like round earthers have all this evidence, but the flat earthers, not a single photo. Like you guys have no photo evidence. Like you're just, you're using your whole evidence
because
is that
the mainstream media only supports the round earth theory.
Yeah. So what you're saying is even
Stanley
though
Kubrick thought it didn't have any balance to the shot.
we just lost 2 viewers bringing that up.
Stanley Kubrick?
No, I think the flat earth thing got him.
No? Okay. Alright.
Yeah. I think Gen 2 is when I actually started liking Pokemon.
Really? How many?
What is that fucking,
Cyndaquil, Totodile, and, Chikorita. I was a Totodile guy.
Really? I like the Cyndaquil. Typhlosion is sick. But, I mean, Feraligatr is sick as well. It was a good, they all had really good, third evolutions.
Yeah. And Chikorita, I think, was definitely lacking.
I thought that was a fruity drink.
Dude, a Chikorita does sound like a great drink.
It sounds very yummy.
Right? What would go in a Chikorita? It would have to be,
grenadine.
Gin-based.
Well, I would say grenadine
Really?
and...
I was going to say tequila. Tequila
Tequila.
Chikorita.
Oh, dude, you're right. It would be a tequila drink.
grenadine and then some sort of simple syrups. Or a liqueur. A liqueur would be good.
Leaf on its head.
Yeah, I would like a no, dude. Basil. It would have to be like a basil cocktail with some kind of like berry fruit.
Basil simple syrup.
Maybe.
Okay.
Like I'm talking like like basil.
A real basil leaf in there?
Yeah, like real basil, like a muddled basil leaf with like lingonberry and like tequila or something. That'd be like
Lingonberry.
I don't know, man. I wanted something
Red.
sour but also fruity.
Chard. Wait, what is it? What's the red, like, celery thing?
Red celery.
Rutabaga.
No.
Rhubarb?
Not rutabaga.
Rhubarb?
Oh gosh, rhubarb.
Rhubarb. That's it.
One of my earliest memories, I lived on a farm in Iowa with my aunt and uncle, and I remember them. I loved rhubarb. I lived on a farm, and I would chew the rhubarb. I would pull it out of the ground and chew on it all day, and I wouldn't eat my dinner. And I remember the quote, "If you don't finish your fucking dinner, you'll never eat rhubarb again," and that devastated me. And I think about that quote a lot, where I'm like, how many times has that ever been said?
Sounds like a Primus song.
Yeah, rhubarb. That's pretty good.
If you don't eat your dinner, you'll never have rhubarb again.
Or Pink Floyd. How can you have to eat your you can't eat your pudding if you don't have your meat.
Dude, that's got another brick in the wall part two.
Actually, I just listened to that full album,
Wow.
like, for the first time in a while, like, the other day.
I used to have it on vinyl.
It's so interesting. It's very, like...
Oh, I miss it, dude. I
I mean,
wish people
like-
were making stuff like that today. Like, not exactly the same, obviously, but like with that same approach. I guess Wu-Tang Clan kind of does, but you know, it doesn't resonate with me.
Roger Waters is still making, like, very political music, and he's, like, kind of exhaustingly, he's just annoying about it, but I love Roger Waters. I love The Fucking Wall.
Mhm.
Like, it's super, like,
Yeah.
like, anti-Nazi, like, the whole, like, premise of the album is that his dad was killed in World War One, like, fighting the Nazis. And, like, it's about him becoming kind of like a husk of himself through, like, excess, like, through, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And also, like basically becoming, like, he hates people so much that he feels like kind of like a Nazi in a way. Like, it's really fucking weird. And, like, he, like, becomes his character, and he's also, like persecuted for, like, hating people so much, but he also, like, he hates the Nazis, and that's why he's, like, comparing himself, or, like, just comparing, like, hatred in general to the, like Nazism.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fucking dark, dude.
Yeah.
But I think The Wall, like, most people consider it, like, a masterpiece, but
I can
don't
only
think it's as,
Can you
like,
imagine?
as-
Could you imagine not knowing anything about that album, buying it when it came out, and then sitting, like, in that time frame when you had so little entertainment, and to put that vinyl record on and play it all the way through had to have been a once in a lifetime type of experience.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a rock opera basically. I mean, it's like every song has like a input into the entire story of the album.
Money. I mean, if you ever sing about money, people always are down with that, though.
That's Dark Side of the Moon, though, dude.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I gotta stay on
Yeah,
topic.
Dude, my father-in-law is
Actually, I would
so into that Dark Side of the Moon album. He's
Dark
got like
Side
all
of the
the
Moon is their best album, for sure. Like,
He's
Dark
got
Side
the
of the
record
Moon.
player.
I mean, any way you want to listen to it, it doesn't matter. Dark Side
No,
of the Moon.
like the Dark Side of the Moon record player that looks like the logo.
You're
Yeah.
like, hell yeah, like the prism.
Yeah, it looks like the fucking prism. Dude, it's cool.
That logo is like, it's so iconic. It's so ingrained in culture. I think people know that without even knowing like what it's from. It's like the Rolling Stones like tongue thing.
Yeah.
Like it's a and it's not like the tongue thing is like Rolling Stones logo pretty much. But for Pink Floyd, like that was just one album and it became like synonymous like with their whole like identity. But it's an amazing album. It's definitely like I might place it like top 3 for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Like probably behind like Led Zeppelin 1 and 4. I'm not sure like what order like I would place those.
I think that Hybrid Theory would be in my top 10 pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would put like as well like Daft Punk, Random Access Memories.
Oh wow.
Plastic Beach, Toxicity by System of a Down.
What? That's what's up.
I fucking love that album.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
The Justice Black album.
Oh yeah, dude, I would put like, Channel Orange by Frank Ocean in there.
You know what keeps coming back for me, and I didn't even like it when it came out.
Nugget. Sorry, what?
I would say one of Slim Shady's albums. I don't know which one it would be though. And I didn't even like it when it came out. I didn't even like Eminem when he came out. Slim Shady. I just keep going back to it and really appreciating it more and more as time goes on. Is it just the album Slim Shady? Is that what it is? No. Slim Shady did several albums, right? The real Slim Shady? No.
Are you just talking Eminem, or are you talking about his moniker Slim Shady?
I'm talking about Eminem when he was rapping as Slim Shady. I don't know what album that was because he's like different eras.
Like 99 to like 2000
Yeah.
or something.
So it must have been the Marshall Mathers EP. Yeah, where he's in front of his house in Detroit.
That shit's really good.
He's just, dude, I didn't like him because, you know, I was an ICP fan and they hated each other or whatever. So, like, I was like, oh, this guy will fade away. And then as I get older and I revisit it, it becomes one of these things where I was like, oh, man, like, this guy was so good. I mean, he still is. And as I get older, I appreciate him more and more, actually.
He's pretty fucking awesome. Like, I think I would put, like, Deltron 3030, like, in there, too.
Deltron 30. I don't think I know that one. Deltron 3030. Oh, it's a trio.
Yeah, probably, like, Life After Death. B.I.G. in there, dude. It's a big E.
I don't know. I've never made a top 10 list. I feel like Queen would get on there.
Yeah, but the thing with Queen, like, it's hard to, like, when you're making, like, an album.
It's hard to pick a full album of Queen.
Yeah.
Like, they have, like, a lot of, like, really amazing songs. Like, I love Queen so much, but it's hard to pick one album where, like, all of the songs, like, I like so much. Even with the Beatles, like, I feel like I love Beatles. Like, I love the Beatles, but, like, I can't pick, like, an album where I'm really, like, I love listening to every song.
I don't think I could
like,
put
going
them
through
there.
it, and it feels great.
I have a weird one. Fur by Blitzen Trapper. Furr.
Furr.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from a group called Blitzen Trapper, and the whole album all the way through is great.
Hell yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm adding this.
Oh, this is a more contemporary one too. God and Suicide, Fire and Fast Bullets. I wonder if what about would be pretty good would be who's it? Killing in the Rage Against the Machine. They had that one album that was fantastic.
Again, I feel like so many of their songs are like spread across like multiple albums.
Mm-hmm.
I might put like Pearl Jam's 10 in there and like Nirvana's Nevermind.
Ooh.
Although maybe I'd put Nirvana's Unplugged, just like just slightly above Nevermind.
Man, I almost went to go see Pearl Jam when they were in Chicago.
Dude,
I didn't go
people hate
there.
on Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I like them though. I like that whole genre. I like Alice in Chains. I really, not a big fan.
No, I love Alice in Chains.
Yeah. Was it Man in the Box? Just stuff like.
I believe.
I could see why people hate on it because it doesn't really age well, you know what I mean? But I like it for what it is as it stands alone. But if you came out with a band like that, it just wouldn't work. Have you guys heard of Greta Van Fleet?
I was just about to bring up Greta Van Fleet. I literally have them up on my Spotify because I was gonna say it.
There's a really awesome video of cause like I mean they have like the first time I heard Greta Van Fleet, I was like, what is this Led Zeppelin song I've never heard?
Right.
And I think that was like a lot of people's like experience. And eventually they showed it to Robert Plant, the lead singer of Led Zeppelin.
Oh wow.
And he was like, oh yes, the vocal style is certainly familiar. I wonder where I've heard that before. And he was like, oh yeah, no, it's like, it was totally like it was perfect, and I hate them. But he was joking. He totally was into it. Like
the first time I'd heard of
like young people, like I don't know, like revitalize his style and like the Led Zeppelin style of shit.
And then people really appreciating it, yeah, 'cause people want more of it. The first time I had ever heard of Greta Van Fleet was a Theo Von interview with Jesse Ventura. He's like, "Have you ever heard of Greta Van Fleet? Oh, they are so fantastic, Theo." And I had to check it out right away. And I told my friends who are into that genre, and everyone already knew about them pretty much. So I was kind of late to the game. I would see them live. That would be worth it. I'd love to go to a show like that because of like who might actually be there. You know, if you're into that, I'd be into that.
Dude, fucking also is like King Gizzard and the Lizard.
Dude, King Giz has been on my I've been listening to it for the past 2 months nonstop.
King
They
Gizzard?
are like the number one, to me, I think they are the embodiment of rock and roll in this era. They've done so many fucking weird different concept albums, but it's hard to pin down their sound because they're so.
I know, right? It's so diverse.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Everything.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. The Omnium Gatherum is a pretty sweet album.
They just came out with a new one that's it's country rock the whole time. It's
the Flight something.
What is it called?
I just looked it up. It's Flight B741.
Yeah. So good though.
Butterfly, good one.
Butterfly is good. They have a huge band too. It's not just a few dudes. They have
the band is as large as their name.
Yeah, they have 3 guitarists and a bass player, and then a keyboardist and a drummer, and I don't know. They might have 2 keyboardists. It's a big band. You don't expect it.
A lot of their albums are also made to loop into each other. So if you listen to them on repeat, a lot of times you don't notice until you're a couple songs in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Slipknot's got a lot of
one. I
bands.
used to listen to Oddments a lot. Oddments. Their 2014 album, Hot Wax, Crying, Pipe Dream.
Oh yeah.
You guys ever get into Slipknot? You ever go that direction?
I saw him one time.
Oh wow, I've never seen him.
It was kind of cool. I mean, they were kind of they were edgelords, but
yeah. You know what's kind of interesting for that genre? They're very poppy. Like a lot of people think it's hardcore. It's like they're actually kind of not.
I mean, I think that's kind of like, it's like the thing. Like people think like, oh, this is like the hardest band, and it's like you've never been to like a really like hardcore
No.
show. Like,
Yeah.
It's
This is like made for
They're pretty
radio.
pop.
Yeah, they're very poppy. I used to listen to
This one will get
Mudvayne.
Joel going. TJ, have you ever listened to Ween?
Ween.
oh man, how did I forget the fucking mollusk?
The Mollusk.
That's
It's such a good
100%
Quebec. The Mollusk.
I think
Killer
Mollusk
album.
love Quebec, but
I would agree.
Like I can listen through the mollusk like any day, and it just like brightens my day.
Oh yeah.
Fucking, that's a great album. We wouldn't have SpongeBob without the mollusk.
Oh,
We wouldn't
really?
have SpongeBob without the Mollusk.
It's true.
Butterfly in the sky.
I would consider SpongeBob, by the way, like one of the best like TV shows of all time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Like, not
seasons
even
1 through
animated.
4.
Yeah, but like even in general, like even like some of their worst seasons are better than most TV.
I remember when Nickelodeon
That's
just
true.
aired that all day for the most part. They did that for a while,
Yeah.
where they would just
Yeah.
and they own. I mean, it's Nickelodeon. They own quite a library of material, and they would just show that all day. I don't remember what years it was, but I remember probably the early 2000s.
Yeah, it would be all day SpongeBob days.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember when they did the Atlantis Square Pantis all-day marathon, and I watched it, and I was like, I turned off the TV, and I was like, I don't think I like SpongeBob anymore.
You know which one was really odd? You guys ever? Go ahead, Joel.
Oh, Atlantis Square Pantis had David Bowie in it, which is
I know, but it was so bad.
Oh, when they did the movie? Yeah, I never watched that. I saw
No,
that.
the actual movie was so fucking good. The first movie.
I saw that they made a like an actual David Hasselhoff. It was like a 13-foot long, like replica of David Hasselhoff or something like that. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, he was like RC controlled.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
That's when the series was supposed to end.
Yeah, it was like yeah, like what's his face? Steven Hillenberg didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, he was like, that's gonna be the end. That's when I'm done.
I don't blame him. I bet he never expected to stick to one show his whole life like that.
Yeah, it's sad, dude. He died pretty young.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? So living in Little Village, you know, I meet a lot of people who just got here or haven't been here very long. You know, it happens a lot when I go to a bar or something. And the most common thing when people find out, you know, I'm American and I was born here, to try to bond with me, it has blown me away. The most common thing is they bring up King of the Hill. It's like one of people's most favorite American, currently of the younger people, younger adults rather, they bring up King of the Hill, which is, I think, so, don't get me wrong, I enjoy King of the Hill. But when I was a kid, I remember thinking like, this is kind of boring. And then as you get older, you like it, but it's almost like it's a slice of American splendor, right? It's like a piece of American culture, the way that they approach things. But also like I'll sometimes be walking in Little Village and I think, what is it about King of the Hill that they love so much? You know what I mean? Like one of my favorite lines from King of the Hill is when Bobby says to his dad, he goes, "Dad, why do you hate what you don't understand?" And he goes, "I don't hate you, Bobby." One of my favorite ones. And then they just go right by that joke and they just keep going. You know what I mean? Like, or there's one where Bobby's holding a cheerleader uniform in his bedroom. And he goes, "Bobby, there better be a naked cheerleader under your bed."
Bobby, there better be a naked cheerleader under your bed.
Yeah. I love that Hank.
Tell you what, I'll kick your ass.
Yeah. Or that Peggy speaks. Maybe it's because Peggy speaks really shitty Spanish. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but yeah,
dude,
they like.
I think King of the Hill is pretty genius.
It took me a while to
I think
appreciate
Mike
it.
Judge is a genius, to
Dude,
honestly.
look at how well Idiocracy is held up. I mean, who could have guessed? He nailed
that is
it.
the best testament to his like genius for sure.
Yeah. And he had
We talk about Idiocracy anytime I'm on this, like at least once.
I mean, it's worth it.
I love Idiocracy.
And the tiny ass budget they had. One of my favorites is when they're like, oh, the plants won't grow. And he's like, well, they want water. And he's like, what? How come there's no plants in the toilet? Yeah, plants claim Brando. Electrolytes, that's what the plants crave. And he's like, no, they want water. He's like, well, there's water in my toilet. I've never seen a plant there. And then another guy goes, maybe you're the smartest man in the world. Like, just because he made an anecdotal point, which is so on par with what it's like to argue with people who don't know a lot about a topic. They'll literally just cling to anything as long as it makes sense to them. He just nailed it. He's really interesting because if you see his really early work, his short animations that he was selling in the late 80s, like you never would guess that the guy who made those was really very brilliant, because it seems like it's very low brow stuff, you know, or rather you just say the Beavis and Butthead guy. Like, who would have thought that this guy would really be more of a national treasure, you know? I mean, if Mike Judge puts out a movie this year, I don't even need to see the trailer. I would just go see it right away.
Dude, Office Space as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we were just talking about Milton from Office Space.
We were talking about Milton.
That's fucking, it's Bill and Chris Baumgartner combined.
Oh my god. I'm gonna burn down the whole building.
It just goes home.
Dude, actually what I'm really excited about is, what's your fucking faces? Matt Stone and Trey Parker are about to make a new movie for the first time in 14 years.
Whoa, what's it about? Do you know? Everything they touch turns to gold.
It's gonna be like, in their words, it's a slave comedy. It's gonna be kind of like Django Unchained, but like a musical with Kendrick Lamar.
Oh man, that's gonna be so good. They're gonna fucking nail it.
That I never thought I would see, like the South Park dudes and Kendrick Lamar. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's almost too much talent.
Yeah. Kendrick Lamar was like one of the first rappers that, like, I never really liked rap that much. And when Kendrick Lamar came out with that album, Damn, I just like stopped.
Kendrick is transcendental. No, dude, you gotta listen to fucking the one before that, dude.
Really?
Mad City, bro.
Is it that good? I believe it. He's super talented.
So fucking good.
I showed I don't remember what is it Syrup Sandwiches and Graham Allowances or whatever, that music video. I was like showing my mom, and we're not much of a rap family, you know what I mean? Fucking just isolated people. And I was like, Mom, I have to show you this. This is real art. And I was showing it to her, and she was very like, my dad was kind of triggered by it, but I was like, no, you have to understand that trigger you're feeling is like, that's the art. Like, you know, this emotion that's coming out of it. Yeah. It's so appropriate.
No, I feel about this art, TJ.
Yeah. My dad's Hank Hill. My dad's more like a mix between Adam Sandler and, God, I don't know. Adam Sandler and, I don't know, a sober guy who's angry on Mondays. I don't know. I don't know what the mixture would be in lore. My dad's like a grumpy guy, but then he likes to get drunk on Saturdays, and then he's really nice. He's like Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler is basically Tyler Perry for white people. I just wanted to officially put that on my stream. Tell me I'm wrong. I love Adam Sandler too, but like, man, Ben and I do not agree on a lot of movies. Like, I think Tombstone's a fantastic movie, and he hates it. And the other thing too, I said Little Nicky's really funny, and he was like, dude, how would you waste your time watching that? There's a scene where Little Nicky, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like, I'm sure you've seen it, but there's this scene where the devil or the devil's brother is controlling Little Nicky, and he fell in love with this lady. and he's like saying all these terrible things. And then he says at the last second, he goes, Sarah. And she turns around and he just slowly puts his hand up and he's like, and he starts slowly flipping her off. And he goes, I'm sorry. It's just so good. Because it's like, you know, that he's acting like someone's controlling his body. And it's just so hilarious. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like Adam Sandler a lot.
It's a callback to The Exorcist. Which I like The Exorcist a lot.
Does he?
The new Exorcist sucks, but the new Omen actually is fucking great.
I feel like it's
Which I
so
didn't see
hard to
coming.
redo The Exorcist because of that. It was mostly that makeup on that little girl that just terrified the whole country, you know? And back then, people
No, there's something
people
about it. No, there's like an extra level of like, I don't know, like it's so fucked up. Like,
it is fun when she.
like your brother's sucking cocks in hell. Like, it's pretty like. It still holds up. Like, as a horror fan, like I think The Exorcist is still one of the best.
Yeah, when she does the
But, like,
walk,
none of the
the
sequels
backwards
are that
walk,
great.
the crab walk down the stairs. That's the one that got me. That's the part that was like, what the hell? Why you?
I used to have the fastest crab walk.
Dude, put you in a movie.
Dude, I've always wanted to be the villain in a horror movie.
What are your measurements?
6'1", 265 pounds.
Fucking pure
I
beef.
feel like I could, if I had a mask and like a hammer or something, I'd be terrifying.
Yeah,
Okay, there's a market for that.
yeah, there
We can
definitely is.
work with that.
I'll have to keep that in mind. Your boy,
Also, I can crab walk really fast.
you really can
Dude,
crab
I
walk?
just
Is that
watched-
true? No, you can't
I
really
have a
do that.
really fast crab walk, yeah.
No, are
I
you
just
kidding?
I just watched the Rob Zombie Halloween remake, and for Michael Myers, it's like they cast like a wrestler, like a humongous wrestler, as Michael Myers, and he's just like slamming people through walls and shit.
Oh,
And I'm like, it doesn't fit Michael Myers at all. It like totally like takes away from like his backstory of just being like inexplicable evil and makes him kind of like, oh, you feel like a little sympathy for Michael. He was like an abused child. And it's like, nah, they kind of like, you want him to be like nobody knows why this child is so fucking evil. Like this person is just like evil incarnate. And they make him have like an understandable backstory, but like seeing him as like a huge like 6'5", like fucking like big person slamming people through walls.
Yeah, I get what you're
And, like,
saying.
It's kind of badass. It's like, oh shit, like he's moving way faster than Michael should, but it's kind of cool.
All right,
It's
so
fun
so
to
here's a
watch.
question. Zombies. Do you prefer sprinting zombies or lumbering, slowly moving zombies?
I mean, I hate like when people like in like Walking Dead and shit don't hear a zombie when they're like 5 feet from them, and all of a sudden like a zombie's on you. It's like, yeah, you're gonna know when they're coming close. And like the fact that they get like snuck up on like so much, it's like, it's not very realistic. Like I think fast zombies are technically scarier,
Yeah.
but I like the aesthetic of just like there's so many of them, even though they're like moving very slow and like uncoordinated.
Like-
There's still like there's so many of them that like you get fucked.
Like
I like the
manatees.
concept of zombies that they start off fast because they have all that energy from an infected person,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
because all they can eat is other humans, they become these slow lumbering things.
Oh, that's
So like
interesting.
a fresh zombie is really agile, but like
Yeah.
an huge zombie becomes that lumbering mass.
It's kind of rare that you get like both.
I feel like I think Zombieland, even though it was like a comedy, did that where there were fast zombies and slow zombies.
Mhm. Yeah. Well,
Dude,
that was
they
more of a
filmed that-
parody.
That final scene where they're at the like amusement park. They filmed that like 45 minutes away from my hometown.
No kidding.
Whoa, that's
At this like local amusement park, like smaller amusement park called Wild Adventures.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. So like, whenever I watch Zombieland, I'm like, oh, I've been on that.
Oh, that's so cool. Second Zombieland was not worth it.
No,
Don't do it.
no.
Wasn't gonna.
I kind of like the last scene where they have like the Utopia for a little bit on the rooftop.
I gotta cut a bunch of these helmets. This just isn't working.
I like the zombie speed from Call of Duty Zombies.
Oh, zombie Nazis?
Yeah, like they're
Nazi
not,
zombies?
They're fast, but they're not like crazy fast.
I like the 28 Days Later ones. That's basically just sprinting zombies.
Yeah. What about like, what's your favorite zombie like overall?
That would be it.
Do you have like a favorite movie?
Favorite movie or zombie movie? I really like the original Night of the Living Dead, obviously, because it's the one. But
That's the
yeah,
one that happened.
They're slow.
that's the first one. Those are very slow. Yeah, and that's where they barricade. Yeah, those move super slow. But I would say
that ending is like devastating.
I don't remember, how does that end? Night of the Living Dead ending.
It's like the dude. It's like honestly, it's probably the first horror movie where like
1968. Wow.
it's the first horror movie where there's a black dude as like one of the main characters, and he doesn't die first. He dies last.
Yeah, he's
Right.
he's the hero. He's like the muscle.
Yeah, and then like at the very, very end, he's like, it's like, oh, the military's here to save us, and they just like shoot him.
Oh, fudge. That makes it a great movie, I really feel like, honestly, because it's so tragic. I like tragic endings, like Darren Aronofsky stuff. He always has like unhappy endings. I kind of like that stuff. And I know a lot of people, they hate it, but I like it. Yeah, the military shoots him. I don't remember that too. I guess, I don't know if I remember it or if I'm just filling in a memory of it.
No, they definitely do. He's like walking out. He has like one of the
So
like
sad.
last people alive in his arms. It's like almost like The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Like he gets shot with her.
That's a badass ending, honestly. Tragedy. I like tragedy at the end. Like, yeah. Like the end of The Wrestler.
I gotta get going. I got meetings early in the morning. Early in the morning.
Early in the morning.
Yeah, I gotta wake up to some more of a Sour Ray's bullshit.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out on the stream, guys.
Yeah,
Catch
let
you
me know
later,
next
man.
time.
Yeah.
Later.
Later, boys. I would say that I guess this can be kind of more to one side here. And it makes me wonder, whatever exposition needs to be built here, I could probably put it another panel above it. But this kind of rawly does what I need it to do for the most part. So let's see what we get out of this. This is a lot of detail for one panel. And where are we at here? 3.5 hours? Not too bad. We go like this. And there you have it. There's a panel. I guess we could clean it up a little bit, but I think we really get what we want out of it. What do we got? This one. So this is where it started out. So this is actually one of those examples where I'm not sure things got much better. It's just you kind of got forced to get in here and get details. Kind of reminds me of when you have a really good story and you make it into a movie, or like they make, I don't know, Power Rangers into a movie, and then you're like, why are the costumes not matching the way I think they should? Well, it's because you have to make a lot of decisions, and in this particular situation, I think the decision was to kind of just keep stylizing it. I'm not in love with it, but it is what it is. We pushed through, and here we are. And then we got this panel. I think we need to take this and put this on the page. Story B. All right, so it's better than this, though. You got to admit it's better than this. So we go from here. Where are we at here? Here. So we'll do before, after. Oh, see how big this is? Just a huge image. That's kind of the trick of the trade, or at least for me. A lot of people say don't do this, but I don't care. I like the results. You lose a lot of work sometimes, but that's the cost of playing, you know. So we would start with before, after, before, after. All right, so we confined it in and kind of condensing it. So really what I can do now is I could put one more panel to put some exposition in here. So that gives me a little bit of room to move around. But I think that's not too bad. I think midnight's not too bad. It's midnight in Central Standard Time. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thanks for hanging out. I got Kitty that needs attention. So I'm going to go ahead and give her attention before the end of the evening. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for everyone who stopped in. And we're going to do this tomorrow. We're going to keep going until this gosh-forsaken book is finally finished. Thanks for hanging out, guys.